Is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, boys?
Good morning.
Ooh, a little sing-song morning. Finish the song.
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, you want the whole thing? The good morning, love you, good morning.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Just serenading
Once,
us first
once
thing in the morning.
I totally caught Simon off guard with that tune while he was visiting my house many years ago.
JL, either you got so much sleep last night or you got absolutely no sleep last night for you to be singing at 6 a.m. right now, just going for it, like ready to go. Like either you got your full 9 hours, like overslept, or you're operating on 30 minutes of sleep and you're in here just like deliriously singing. You've been singing for hours.
You got to remember that it's 7 a.m. where we live over in civilization. And you live over on the frontier, you know what I mean?
Frontier,
The Wild West. I don't know what time it is.
Yeah, it's nothing but cowboys and aliens where I live, just running around. It's the true wild West. We got Tommy in here. Says, yo, time for the show. This is happy Thursday. He's just excited for football. You know what? Tommy's probably right. It's the Bears Commanders game that's got you singing songs, isn't it, J.O.?
Is Tommy always up this early?
For sure. Tommy was born in the darkness. He's only. I was trying to see if I could bait Coop into doing it first thing on the show 2 days in a row.
We were watching Superstore last night, and they made a Bane joke, and it was with it like, it's Coop.
I know I do. Yeah, like
Coop's on Superstore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the funny thing, the producer for the Sunday show, Heather, she's like, what prompted you to do the Bane thing? I was like, which time? And also, I couldn't possibly tell you why. You know, we're on here 15 hours a week. I'm sure there's any number of darkness comments or Batman comments.
Hit her with the Will Smith laugh. Aha!
J-Wall is in a good morning. Guess where I am? Guess where he is? I would guess
Bali
again.
Yeah,
maybe a slightly different location in Bali than you were last time you sent that message. Would be my guess.
I can't name any locations in Bali. So.
South Bali, North Bali. That's
West
all I got.
Bali.
I'm not confident there's a West or East Bali.
'em.
Squirrel Bob in here. Good morning, Squirrel Bob. What's up? Welcome in. And Tommy saying always awake. Always awake, non-stop. He's ready to go. He sets his alarm for this and then just stares at his phone until it hits 7 a.m. every single morning.
What a man.
What a man. Guys, tonight, as we mentioned, we've got that Bears Commanders game, but there's a lot going on in the league outside of just Thursday night football. Sean McVay was quoted saying the Rams haven't made last offer to Odell Beckham Jr. So after Odell Beckham Jr. tweeted Wednesday that the contract offer the Los Angeles Rams made him wasn't reflective of his worth, Sean McVay indicated he didn't think that would be the team's final offer. He was quoted as saying, LA knows where I wanted to be, which is what Beckham tweeted, but they didn't offer me anything. So IDK what people want me to do. I definitely know my worth, and what the offer was isn't reflective of that. The Rams still have a nameplate in the locker room of the practice facility for Odell Beckham Jr. He seems a little peeved at the offer they're giving him, but Sean McVay seems to think they're going to get something done. Do you think we see Odell Beckham Jr. back on this field?
Nope.
I think we do.
It's probably likely.
I think we do, man. He loves the limelight. He loves the money, you know. So I think eventually he's just going to take whatever they're offering. You know what's funny? I can just imagine the things that Odell Beckham Jr. and his knowing Odell, what him and his agent are saying about Allen Robinson as part of these negotiations. They're probably sitting there like,
that guy?
yeah, what is this? What is this?
He's not even doing anything.
You know what I mean?
Allen Robinson's helping Odell Beckham's
thrashing
case
Allen
better than
Robinson.
anything Odell Beckham did last year. Just out there being Allen Robinson is not helping.
No, not
Scroll wants to know, when is he even supposed to be back? It's not till like week 11, right? Week 11 or 12 that we're supposed to see Odell Beckham Jr.
That is so far from now.
It sounds so far from now, but man, I swear, like I blink and all of a sudden it was week 6. Like I don't even know where the first 5 weeks went. We're about to start week 6 tonight. That's insane. That's absolutely. This is the point of the season where I look at my worst team and go, my God, how the hell am I going to turn this 0-6 team around? Because that 0-5 team probably isn't winning this week either. In other news, Davante Adams, we got an update on his situation. He was charged with misdemeanor assault for the Monday Night Football shove. He was cited for an intentional overt act that inflicted bodily injury, according to court records released Wednesday. The man shoved by Adams suffered whiplash, a headache, and a possible minor concussion from the incident, according to records. He was working for ESPN's Monday Night Football as a freelance photographer. So that's what went down. That's what they're charging him with, misdemeanor assault. I imagine he's not going to go to jail for this. He's going to probably pay some money, maybe settle out of court with this guy, and then 0 to 1 game suspension and a fine from the NFL is probably what we're going to be looking at for Davante Adams.
Yeah,
it's right there on video, so he's gonna have to be like, guilty, Your Honor.
It's textbook. Right?
Gently shoving this gentleman. But I mean, hey, dude, got a capitalist society, a litigious society. So this guy, dude, got to go for it when you have a chance.
Yeah. And you're right, Coop. It's textbook, right? He can't really argue that he didn't do it. Whatever we think about the severity of it, like it's exactly what they said he did. I seen it. I seen it too. Tommy in here saying, I'm charging you guys for inciting temporary insanity. Yeah, 3 hours a day. If you're in here for a full 3 hours, that probably makes sense. Probably makes complete sense. Daniel Jones was quoted on his contract situation saying that's certainly not my focus. The Giants declined his 5th-year option, so the quarterback is scheduled to become a free agent in 2023. We've talked a bit about this previously, but Dable comes to town. Daniel Jones has looked decent in some games so far this year. Coop, remind me, do you think Daniel Jones ends up back as a Giant? Has he shown enough where he's going to re-sign there?
No, I don't think.
No.
He's just okay. I mean, I think if they somehow if they keep this rolling, they're not going to have a good enough pick to take somebody. And it's like, can you walk away from the quarterback? Well, I mean, think about it. Jimmy G took the team to the NFC Championship. They were 3 points away from going to the Super Bowl, and the team basically threw him under the bus. So it's not crazy to see that potentially happening. But I don't know. You know, the team comes in. This guy struggled. They don't pick up his 5th-year option, and they want to build their own thing. You know what I mean? So I really I see them moving on, going to get their own guy.
JL, if Daniel Jones is not on this team next year, is he a starter somewhere in the league?
Probably with all the injuries. Yeah, I don't know where. We'll have to see, but I could see him being a starter. Maybe the Seahawks get him
over
maybe
Geno
the Texans.
Smith?
Yeah, over the Geno. Yeah.
Man, Texans would be interesting.
Packers after Aaron Rodgers retires.
Oh man, can you imagine Packers fans going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Danny
Jones?
That would be like real shock for those fans. They would not know how to handle that.
Tommy's just send him to the Panthers.
He's both New York.
That might be an upgrade for the Panthers, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not looking good
over Baker and Peach.
And Peach. We'll see what. Who took over as coach there? Was it Steve Wilkes that took over as the head coach in Carolina? We'll see what he can do.
If Baker and Peach were a company, what kind of company would it be? This was inspired because the other day somebody on Reddit asked me about their tight ends, and they were like, "Who do I start? I have Hawk and Kittle." And my mind immediate was like, Hawk and Kittle sounds like it would be like a hipster restaurant, right?
A bone broth brand.
Yeah, Hawk and Kittle.
And Kittle.
What would Baker and Peach be?
They make little individual like organic peanut butter and jelly Uncrustables like that you can buy at like farmers markets. Baker and Peach. Peach makes the PB&J that goes in there. Baker makes the breads.
I
So
love
Baker and
that,
Peach,
dude.
they stuff these things. You can buy little like adult Uncrustables
What
at
makes
the
them
farmers market when
adult?
you're walking around. The flavors of the jams are not like grape.
Yeah.
It's like jalapeno mango hibiscus jam in there with like farm raised
it's on like
unsalted almond butter in a whole grain self-raising rye.
Right.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know all the words, but it's going to be fancy.
Man, I was really bought in until you started describing it.
Sounds bad.
Well,
Sounds real bad.
I'm not the baker and I'm not the Peach. Okay, so I'm not the one coming up with these flavors. They're gonna have much better than me. That was just me spitballing.
Uncrustables are amazing, but
yeah,
they're also terrible for you. I'm not sure if you looked at the nutritional value on those things, dude. You might as well
why would I ever
leave a
cookies. Why would I ever look at that?
Don't do it. You might as well eat a bunch of Oreo cookies. Man.
It's not a problem.
Yeah,
if I'm eating Uncrustables, I'm not eating it going like, boy, am I being healthy? Know what I mean? Like it's
at that
like,
point, I've tossed aside all inhibitions related to nutrition. If I'm knee deep in Uncrustable.
Dude, being an adult, I realized like as an adult, I realized like all the things I thought were healthy as a kid are not. Like when it's like when I was
cereal, all cereal,
doing like a diet, all cereal, like any kind of juice is just like sugar water. You know what I mean?
I don't believe that,
dude. Truly, don't look.
That's like fruit in general in my mind as a kid was like the pinnacle of healthy eating, right? Like you couldn't eat anything healthier than a piece of fruit. You can eat too much fruit. It really is like just sugar. It's just straight up sugar. Tommy with beer. Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought beer was healthy. And now I know that beer is.
I think it's talking about the adult Happy Meal. What makes it an adult Happy Meal?
Well, the toys have 4 eyes instead of 2.
Grimace doesn't wear pants in the adult Happy Meal.
No, he doesn't.
That's what you got going on.
That makes it so weird to just go like this. Before, not at all. Now, weird.
Grimace is fully dressed. I was playing this video game a couple weekends ago, and this like woman asked me to find her dog, right? I returned the dog to her and she goes, why is he naked? Was what she said. And then I had to go find his clothes. And you holding Grimace up like that made me think like you just are absolutely shocked that Grimace is nude.
What video game are you like finding dogs in, dude? Like you don't have like Call of Duty or anything cool?
Don't ask, man. Don't ask.
It's called Golf Story. It's like a 16-bit golf-based RPG game where you're just running around doing golf-based missions and
Joey loves it.
Do you play golf at all?
You do, but you also find people's dogs and smash pumpkins and stuff.
Sounds kind of tight.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game. One of my favorites. For the first time in his career, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is a home underdog going against the Bills this weekend. Mahomes have been favored in his first 41 home starts, including the playoffs. It's the longest streak to begin a career in the Super Bowl era, and this is coming to you from Adam Schefter. So Mahomes, home underdog. Who you guys taking on this one? You like the Bills or you like the Chiefs? You think Mahomes is going to pull off a win in his first time as a home underdog in his entire career?
Dude, if anybody can, it's Patrick Mahomes, but I'm staying far away from this one. I'm not choosing somebody to win because the moment I choose the Bills, the Chiefs are locked in to win. And the moment I choose the Chiefs, the Bills are locked in to win.
You know what's crazy is I fully agree with that. And there's not enough of that in the gambling community. Like we do this all the time where we're forced to pick. Like sometimes you just got to queen bee it. Sometimes you just got to say, hey, you know what? This bet is just like last time this matchup, if anyone remembers, came down to a coin flip in overtime, of which the league changed the rules over, right? Like that's how close this matchup typically is. So there's so many other matchups where I look at it and I'm like,
that's much better.
Spread? Like, what's going on here? This one I look at it and I'm like, makes a lot of sense. All of it, you know, right? Like, Bills are awesome and the Chiefs are good, so I'm just gonna enjoy this. I don't need to put any extra money on this matchup, right? Like,
I don't need any. Bills are awesome. The Chiefs are good. That's all I got to say about that.
I don't need to put any extra mustard on this one, dude. This one's ready to go.
Can we just have this game tonight instead of the like Like, put the Commanders-Bears game while 8 other games are going on at 1 p.m. Don't put it on Thursday night where I'm going to stay up late inevitably to watch it. If I'm going to stay up late, make me stay up late to watch the Bills-Chiefs with a 53.5 point over-under. Like, that's what I want. Not this Bears game. God.
Literally every other game.
Yeah,
every single other game. Every single other game this season has had a higher over-under. I'm not sure if you guys recall any other ones, but 37.5 is the lowest one I remember. Like,
I just told Maria, I think yesterday, that 38.5 was the lowest I think I've seen.
And she was like, "That's nice, honey."
Yeah, she was like, "What? What'd you say? Did you say something?"
I do that all the time where I'm like, "Can you believe this?" And my girlfriend's like, "I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not involved with fantasy Twitter." You know? She has like one fantasy team where she doesn't set her lineups. Now,
was this your girlfriend or your fiance? Because I imagine those are two different people.
You know, they're both getting married this weekend too. That's the crazy part.
That is great.
neither of me either. It's gonna be a crazy weekend.
It's gonna be a sad Monday. Coop's gonna go from having a girlfriend and a fiance to
single.
Living that single life on Monday. Now you'll have more time to dedicate to fantasy football and Bane impressions. Is what you're going to have going on.
Flash that hair real quick. In case
Born in the darkness.
Any suitors for when I'm available on Monday. Yeah. But my contract says only 1 day of hair a week, so I had to put the hat back on. I had to put it back in the cage.
That's fair. That's fair. My body says only 1 day of hair a week. That's why I keep the hat on. All the other days I'm really balding, but there is 1 day a week where it's just a full head of hair. It's incredible, actually. A marvel of science.
Some days you wake up, you're just having a no hair day.
No hair day. Yeah, those are the days that are bad for me. This hair is actually attached to the hat. It's like the Guy Fieri hats where they put them on and they've got the spiky hair on top. This is just it's like a InstaFlow is what this is. It's just on the hat. You can just clip it on the back of any of them. Landon Collins was quoted as saying, "I want to stay with the Giants, but Dave Gettleman didn't want me here." He said he dreamed of playing his whole career for the Giants, but when he hit free agency in 2019, former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman didn't try to re-sign him. Collins admits he didn't do much in Washington, but says he'll prove it with the Giants that he still got it. Dave Gettleman. Another one. Dave Gettleman, everyone.
That's a love letter right there, dude.
I just don't know what else to say about Dave Gettleman. I feel like everyone's in agreement. Yeah, that sounds about right for Dave Gettleman.
Yep.
Ben McAdoo. Everyone the name Ben McAdoo is just like a clown name to me now. But it goes back to the Matt Rule, Joe Brady thing. It's once everyone realizes after the fact that this guy's a doofus, you're like, wait a second, what about all the people he fired? Right? Let's bring those people back. Those people were probably right. You know what I mean? So bring Landon Collins back. He was amazing with the Giants before. He's probably still got something left in the tank.
I bet Craig Diner saying he still has it. What is it? If he meant it, they better watch out. It's a great point, Craig. A lot of different ways of using it there. I'm not even sure if he still has it. Who knows? If he has it, then they might sign him.
It.
Anyone that can't see the chat, he has it in capital letters, meaning maybe Landon Collins has a fictitious murderous clown.
I didn't even pick up on that. I forgot about the fictitious murderous
I think that's what he was going for with it there.
100%. Yet another movie I have not seen, the original or the newer one.
So I actually haven't seen that one either. Mostly because neither my fiance nor my girlfriend like scary movies. Otherwise, I would have seen it. I do. So I do. I don't mind them. You know what I mean? I don't sleep very well when I watch them, but something about it is exhilarating to watch. But no, she didn't do it. Dude, she covers her face with things that aren't scary at all. She didn't watch Lord of the Rings until last year because she thought the orcs were too scary. That's what
I don't blame. Hey, I don't blame her for that one.
That's awesome.
Right, and then Tony Dungy comes on the screen, for football, and she's like, it's one of those orcs again.
Oh, mean, unnecessary shot at Tony Dungy.
Come on, that's kind of funny. Terrell Suggs.
Brutal. I love scary movies, but you have to be in the right mindset to watch one though. But I love the ones that aren't in your face, jump out at you scary, but the ones where afterwards it kind of sticks with you for a little bit. Know what I mean? You're just left there feeling uncomfortable after the movie ends. Those Those are my favorite scary movies.
Those are easily the worst ones.
Because I am easily startled. Like I am the jump scariest person on planet Earth. But so the like just jump in your face scary ones that aren't like doesn't stick with you. It seems like just upsetting me randomly for no reason. But the ones that like dig a little deeper and make you question things. Those are my
deeper.
Those are the best ones. Dale, anything to add on, Dave Gettleman?
Dave
we're talking about
Gettleman.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We have an injury update on Mac Jones. The Patriots quarterback reportedly has a decent chance to play against the Browns. After having to sit out the previous 2 games due to an ankle injury, Mac Jones appears to have a decent chance to play this week. If Jones is good to go, he will resume his starting position. If not, the Patriots will again turn to 4th-round draft pick Bailey
The Zap Master.
Zappy. Here we come.
Zapparoo.
Zappy.
Yeah, dude. Super megastar, Bailey Zappi, undefeated in his starts. Never allowed a point on defense as a starting quarterback. Not much more to say.
I was going to say, what other facts do you have for us?
He led all quarterbacks in the FBS in passing, and the Patriots oddly also might be using the running back that led all of FBS in Pierre Strong this week with Damian Harris out. So I hope that that's not how the Patriots decided which players to pick in the draft this year.
Did you say Pierre Garçon?
Pierre Strong Jr., a running back they drafted this year. He also recorded the fastest time at the combine among the running backs. So we also drafted the wide receiver that had the fastest time at the combine. So seems like there is a theme here, and it's that Al Davis is picking these players from beyond the grave.
Jailed thinking that Pierre Garçon was like a born again rookie, like he just said,
Pierre Garçon.
Born again rookie Pierre Garçon.
Pierre Garçon didn't even we're talking about FBS versus the top tier. Pierre Garçon didn't even play at that level. Pierre Garçon was a Division III player. Went to Mount Union.
I did not know that. He's so old.
Now you know, dude. Now you know.
I feel like that's one of those names. Like you've said that, I have no reason to know that, but that name is wildly familiar. Do they win national championships in D3 all the time?
For D3, Mount Union, it was like a Met wagon. They were like a football factory. They also had they had a couple guys because very few guys from D3 come to the league, but they also had a name you probably remember. Cecil Shorts went to.
I know Cecil Shorts.
Yeah, he went to.
I
Mount
love
Union.
that name.
Yeah, but if you take the last 15 years, right, and you take all the players drafted in the 5th round or later, all the wide receivers drafted in the 5th round or later, Pierre Garçon is second in fantasy points scored on that list.
That's wild.
Pierre Garçon was a hog. Total
hog. Absolute hog.
God, Tommy said Pierre Garçon sounds like designer sunglasses. They do. He does.
They'd be dope ones
Honey,
too.
Can you grab my Garçons? They're on the counter.
My Pierre Garçons.
Dude, if I had a pair of Pierre Garçons, I'd know where they are at all times.
They'd be on your face at all times.
You can't misplace that. Never take them off. Shower in his Garçons.
Yeah. They're permanent sunglasses. They're unremovable.
Your Daniel Joneses are the ones you just keep in the car. They get crunched up in your pocket, and you're just whatever.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, they're like the colored plastic ones that they give you at a sports giveaway that says Spectrum Internet on the side. You know what I mean? Whatever college event you're at, the school color of that college, Spectrum Internet's going to be there with sunglasses with the color of your school plus their logo on the side, and that's what the Daniel Jones.
That's what Daniel Jones is. Yeah, you lean over the urinal and they fall off. They were hanging here and they fall in the urinal and you just flush it and leave them. Those are the Daniel Joneses.
Flush it.
You ever drop something you needed into a toilet full of toilet stuff?
A bad toilet stuff?
A bad bowl. I'm not talking water because that's gross enough to drop something in there, but something you needed into a bad bowl. You ever done that?
I've definitely dropped a pair of Daniel Joneses, but they were nice enough to retrieve.
And then you put them immediately back on your face.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you wash and put them back on, or are they done?
No, they were retrieved and washed. I mean, they're made of metal, so it's not the end of the world.
I've never dropped anything in there.
I dropped my phone in a full bowl one time.
Which full of what?
I was warming up the shower ahead of time, like I was warming up and was sitting down doing my business before the shower got up.
Number 2,
you know
number 1.
Number 2, JL. It was a double combo. It was a combo move, okay? And my move when I'm in the shower
your current phone?
is on top of my toilet. No, this is in college. On top of my toilet, I would put my shirt. Then I would put my phone in my shirt, wrap it around so that the moisture didn't get to it. But if I needed it while I was in the shower, I could reach over and grab it. Well, I'm about to get in the shower, and then I realize, oh, shoot, I need to grab something, but I have roommates. So I lift the shirt up. The phone is in there. I forget it's in there, and it drops straight in. Full panic. Just reach and grab, and I get a handful of everything that's in there as I sprint to the living room, like fully nude, hoping that none of my roommates are in the living room, holding like a shit-covered phone that I'm then trying to like figure out how to wash off without using water because I don't want to ruin it further. It was one of the worst moments of my life. That one hurt pretty bad. That was humiliating.
Disgusting.
It was absolutely humiliating.
That story's bringing me great pain and anguish. Please.
I got a new phone shortly after. That phone didn't survive that fall into the toilet. It was not the same phone ever again. It couldn't look me in the eyes after that.
Yeah, we had to blame it.
We had to separate ways. Maybe that one was too far. Tommy Anderson, gross. Simon, too much. Please stop.
Seriously, let's move on.
Before we move on, Maria said, did you almost drop your AirPods, or was that me? That was me. I did forget about that moment, but an AirPod did fall out of my ear while I was doing something. I was in the bathroom doing something, and I don't remember why I had my AirPods in, but I did. And it bounced off of one side of the toilet seat, bounced off the other side of the toilet seat, one more time on the toilet seat, and then doesn't land in the toilet. So lucky. Saved myself AirPods.
Those puppies are done, bro.
Dude.
If I dropped an AirPod in the toilet, I would truly not know what to do with myself. Like that would be
do you flush or do you pick?
I'm not putting that back in my ear. Like that is I'm not putting poop water in my ear. That is not happening. Like and you can't get that thing clean. There's no way. Like I can't even get the earwax off of there that's been there for 3 years. No way I can get shit out of those little speaker holes. It's not happening. So Craig,
I hope they clip this entire conversation.
This is a commercial that they're going to be playing nonstop.
I'm surprised Keith isn't begging for a break right now. Tommy is.
Craig in here said, if a phone falling into the toilet is a worst moment of your life, you have had a good life. You know what, Craig? You're right. I have had a pretty good life, and I'm not going to talk about trauma on the radio. So as far as radio moments go, then that is one of the worst moments of my life.
One, dude. Poop phone on your face. And ear poops in your ear.
Absolutely. Speaking of quarterbacks that have been injured, we had a positive update. Tua Tagovailoa practiced on Wednesday in a limited capacity, so he's not going to play this weekend. It's already been confirmed. Teddy Bridgewater also confirmed still out this week. So we are going to see Skylar Thompson back at quarterback for the Dolphins, but it's a good sign that Tua's back out there on the field practicing this Wednesday. Looks like he'll be available potentially for week 7. So they can get Tua back maybe sooner than they thought. And it seems like signs pointing up for Tua, which I know people were scared for that dude after that second concussion, or what was viewed as a second concussion, right?
Yes.
Hopefully we'll see him back.
Did we ever get confirmation on whether the first one was a concussion? Or is it just too late to tell?
The first one, he couldn't even walk.
Right.
I know, but I'm just wondering if
but they let him back in the game, right? Like they said it wasn't. We all think we saw it, right?
I'm just wondering if they ever did confirm whether it was or not. But I guess not, because once the second one happens, it's not like you'd be like, "Yep, there's the first one. Oh, there's the second one."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. The thing is, the crazy thing is the Teddy Bridgewater one is the one where they're saying like that. None of it looks like concussion, but because the protocols got changed over the first one, and they want to be super cautious, and they don't want to be the team that does that twice. That's why Teddy's ruled out for this week. But
Teddy's ruled out for like 6 months or something.
Right. Of course, that would happen.
It's overcompensating.
Teddy, my sweet angel.
Teddy. Pete Carroll was quoted yesterday saying Drew Lock is nipping at Geno Smith's heels. Carroll was trying to say Locke has kept Smith honest in practice while potentially also deflecting on endorsing Smith as the team's long-term answer beyond 2022. Carroll also said he has no doubt Smith can sustain his early success. You guys taking anything from this? Do you think there's a real chance we see Drew Lock take over for Geno Smith at quarterback this year?
No.
Not the way he's playing.
I mean, they're probably just trying. That's like posturing for like trade value, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm not taking anything from this. It seems a little silly for Pete Carroll to even use that language, right? Like that.
No one believes you're Pete.
Close.
No, what are you gonna do? Switch out Geno Smith while he's playing lights out football for Drew Lock?
Yeah,
it'd be so dumb.
Yeah, damn.
Sounds like a winning move, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, Dan Snyder claims he has dirt on NFL owners and Roger Goodell. He said they can't F with me, Snyder told an associate. The NFL is a mafia. Snyder recently told a close associate that he's gathered enough secrets to blow up several NFL owners, the league office, and even Commissioner Roger Goodell. Many owners and top league executives tell ESPN they would like to see Snyder removed as an owner. It would clean the slate for a storied team and a cherished fan base and reignite the pursuit for a desperately needed stadium. JL, people may not know this, but you grew up a Washington fan. You were a Washington fan, and I think you had enough of this franchise, right? Dan Snyder kind of was a big reason that pushed you away. I don't know about you, but I don't care if he takes people down with him. I just want to see him out of this league, not owning a team. If he's got dirt worthy of taking down other NFL owners and Roger Goodell, then cool, great. I still want you to get kicked out too. Like,
this is like in politics where they're like, you know, whatever side it's on, dude, the Republicans or the Democrats, and they're like, oh, that person's a pedophile, but this person's a pedophile. It's like, yeah, okay, great. Like, let's get all the pedophiles out. Like, let's take them all, right? Anyone that's committing sexual assault,
for protecting pedophiles.
Let's get rid of all of those people, whatever side, right? So yeah, if he's got dirt, perfect. You know, bring everybody with you. Like,
and it's funny because I'm listening to you read this headline, Simon, and I'm just thinking he's probably right. Like he's probably not wrong about anything he's saying. He probably does have dirt on other NFL coaches and Roger Goodell, because there probably is ample dirt out there on these guys. Yeah, they're freaking billionaires who own NFL teams. Of course, they have dirt.
It's out in the open on like half of them, dude. Like, you know, like Bob Kraft. And like, dude, like Jimmy Haslam like robbed like millions of dollars from truckers, and you know, everyone's just like, well, business. And
then they're like, now build me a stadium.
You know, it's like, yeah, exactly, dude. Like all these dudes got some shady stuff going on. You know what I mean? Like, no question, dude.
I like to imagine that that's the dirt Dan Snyder has. It's just the stuff that he's read on like articles that he thinks other people haven't seen yet. Like he doesn't have any real dirt. It's just
TMZ reporting.
Yeah, he comes out. He's like Stephen Ross tried to pay Brian Flores to lose games. We're like, yeah, we know, dude. Yeah,
but Simon, you were absolutely correct. I was a Washington fan growing up, and I did have enough with this franchise between the name and the ownership. Just not a fan of it anymore. So I'm no longer a fan of the Washington. Maybe I will be if if Dan Snyder's gone and they get somebody new in there and they revive the franchise. But
man, it's fun being a Ravens fan, isn't it?
It is real fun being a Ravens fan.
I think
it's not really a single Washington player. I'm like,
I was gonna say that'd be a really hard sell. Like, okay, I know you're a Ravens fan, but how would you feel about cheering for the Washington Commanders?
I'm also in Baltimore City now, so it's a little easier to get to a game here than it is down in Landover.
Yeah, what are tickets like down there? By the way, I always like asking because like it's impossible to get tickets up here still. Like what's kind of the get in price there, JL? Obviously, every game's different, but like, if you were going to try and get in there to a game, could you get in there for under $100?
At M&T, the Ravens game? Yeah. Under 100? Nah, you'd be in nosebleeds probably. It's like 150, probably. 100, 150 for upper deck.
Unless you steal them.
That makes sense. What about in San Antonio? If you wanted to get into how much gas would you need to spend? How much gas money?
It's like a 2.5 hour drive to Houston. So that's about as close as you're getting to a game, or you can drive 6 hours to Dallas. They say it's 4.5, but Waco slows you down every time. It's 6 hours. Stupid Waco. You can go to a Spurs game here, though. Spurs games aren't too bad. Like, you can get the upper deck Spurs tickets for like in the $20 to $30 range, and those games are a lot of fun. Last year, I watched them get beat by the backup team for the Pacers. They just came in with their entire starters resting and destroyed them. It was a really nice environment.
Getting the game, cool who was your favorite player growing up? I'm guessing Washington player growing up. Probably Daryl Green, I think, was my favorite when I was a kid. Good player.
Guys, coming up, we are going to talk some Thursday night football, some player props for tonight's game. They're all gross, every single one of them. We'll talk a little bit of DFS for tonight's game as well. Play some Fantasy Feud. And then we've got our friend Ethan Cadeau coming on the show a little bit later today as well. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Sports Talk, done better.
Coop, we did have a question for you. Get Into Game wants to ask if you could create an all tight end team. Like, who would be your top tight ends? Like your favorite guys that you would put on your all tight end team?
Or does he want me to do an all tight end team where I fill out all the positions? Because I could do that.
That could work as well. Yeah, you want to do that?
So a wide receiver 1, split end would be Kyle Pitts.
Checks out. I knew you were going to say Kyle Pitts.
Now on the other side, I would have Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
At the actual tight end slot, inline tight end, I'd have Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
In the slot, I would have Tony Gonzalez, who under Chan Gailey for the Chiefs back in mid 2010s. He led the league in routes run from the slot. Now at quarterback, I would have Logan Thomas, a converted quarterback that now plays tight end. Right at running back, give me Jonnu Smith, a guy that has multiple rushing touchdowns. He could bring it up and down the field. At left tackle, give me Michael Pruitt, one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league. At right tackle, give me Nick Boyle.
Are you done this all off the top of your head?
Of course. At guard, we're gonna fill out the line with the best blocking tight ends that I can think of. So actually at center, give me a guy that's been a captain on a team because you need a strong, smart player at center. Give me Mercedes Lewis, a guy that's been in the league for a long time, one of the premier blockers. At guard, you're gonna want a little speed, a little heft. So I'll take a current guy, Albert Akwe-Bunam. I'll put him 6'6", 260. Put him at left guard. Have him do some swing routes. Have him run around. At right guard, I'll take give me Jason Witten. Just give me a big monster to throw in.
Get him out of the booth.
Throw down the run blocking. And
can we put this in like a graphic?
As my fullback move tight end, I'm going to go with a guy that's played a bunch of fullback. He's played a bunch of move tight end. Very underrated. Give me Chris Cooley, former Redskins tight end, move tight end, Chris Cooley. So that would be my all-time tight end offense. If you need
now radio personality.
I am
in the DMV.
I am so impressed. Not just like you didn't just pull out those names and you didn't stop after the positional guys. You said we're talking O-line here too because that's an important part of the offense. Coop, I could not put together a better all tight end team right now.
Now put a full depth chart together.
You'd be insane to do it.
Punter.
I feel like a maniac just having done that. But
who's the punter and who's kicking field goals?
Punter easily is going to be Algie Crumpler because right off the top of my head,
I've ever heard.
Kind of sounds like punter. Seems like he could boot the ball.
Crumpler the punter.
Crumpler punter. And then for kicker, we just want to have as many all-time greats on the roster. So give me Antonio Gates.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We're about to get into a little bit of real talk. This is the segment where we you get to know us as hosts a little bit better. We're going to answer some questions maybe about things in our past, things that we love, things that we hate, just things to get to know the three of us, Simon, Jail, and Coop, a little bit better. Jail, you got a real talk question for us today?
Yes, I do. Good thing I was muted during that intro back because I pulled a Simon.
Singing?
Yeah, singing. That's what I was doing. Definitely not ripping farts.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
And that's been real talk, everyone. Where we get
that's
to know
real talk. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys. Here is your question for real talk. This is your question for real talk. How would you spend your days if you had unlimited time and resources? How would you spend your days if you had unlimited time and resources? What do you think, Coop?
I mean, it really depends on what the resources are. Like, the funny thing about what we do now is that, like, like I said, I had with the last Real Talk, I talked about how I worked my way up through real estate, all the different jobs from mortgages to appraisals to this. But I spent all my free time doing this. You know what I mean? And right now, I wake up at
crack of dawn.
Crack of dawn, talk ball. Last night, I was on with the lightning round show from 9:30 to 10:30 at night, talking ball. And when I log off that, I go on Reddit and just talk ball, dude. So I truly think that this is what I would be doing, but I'll try and think of something else while Simon says this. So I'll pick my second best one because it's kind of a cop out to say this, but I do truly love talking about football.
I think that's a good caveat, Coop, because before you started, the exact thing I was thinking was like, well, like I left my full-time job with no money, no resources, and no time to try to do this, right? Like a couple years ago, like this was the dream to work on my own company in the fantasy football space, to get into this. I think maybe like take a step broader. Like I would love to have more time to focus on like other areas of content or entertainment. I used to do more stand-up comedy. Like that was a lot of fun. I still write jokes, but I haven't performed in forever. Like I would love to be able to dedicate more time to like honing that craft, right? Like I'm not very good. I've done it on stage like 4 or 5 times, but I would love to be able to spend time honing that craft. And then I think, man, if you've watched me grow up, I have always had hobbies.
Which everybody has.
Everyone watched me grow up. I'm a hobby dude. Like whether it was skateboarding or magic tricks or juggling, like there was always something I was obsessed with as a kid that like was going. And then as an adult, it's the same thing. I would have so many hobbies. Like I would spend the days playing board games, rock climbing, ice climbing, hang gliding, parachuting, like whatever it was. Like any hobbies that were limited by money or equipment would no longer be off limits to me. So we would have so much fun doing that. That's what I would do.
I love that.
Just these hobby-based activities that are off limits right now because of time and or money.
Yeah. So I will say one thing that I do enjoy doing that's a hobby is, and it might sound kind of weird, but I love going to thrift stores. There's a couple great ones up this way, and finding shoes that I can fix up. Like I actually have some here next to me that I found at a thrift store. And I have the whole. I've got like I've got like the brushes. I've got the no, Macklemore sucks. I got like I can't believe that he won Artist of the Album of the Year over freaking Kendrick Lamar. Like, are you kidding me? But anyway,
that was absurd.
Yeah,
so a while ago, right? That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I do want to say I held that against Macklemore for too long. Like it wasn't his fault that he won over Kendrick Lamar, but I held it against him for years. Like, you asshole. Sorry, Coop, keep going.
His fault for being super corny, though. There's no question about that.
You're right.
Yeah. So I got like the whole kit, the brushes, everything. So like, for instance, this pair of shoes I found and brought them back to life.
Nice. Look at those cowboy boots.
That is live.
Skiddly-doo. Pair of
I love
Crockett
a
and Jones.
shoe full of little circles.
Jordan Loop says
something about
say world peace, you assholes.
No world peace. There's something about fixing it up yourself, dude, and seeing it go from like something that someone else threw away to, these are like a pair of $800 shoes that I got for like $10. So
are they really $800?
The shoes
brand new
cost $800. Yeah, those are Crockett and Jones.
I was listening.
I'm not kidding. Wait, you don't think I'm serious? Those are Crockett and Jones. Yeah, those are. And I've got a ton of Crockett and Jones, Allen Edmonds, all sorts of stuff, dude, that I got for like $5-10, dude. So
Tommy said no way in the chat. Yeah, I need to brush up on my men's shoe brands because I don't know my men's shoe brands or my women's shoe brands for that matter. I just am lacking on my shoe brand knowledge. Jordan's comment in the chat saying "Say world peace, you assholes" reminds me of this podcast I was listening to yesterday, where they asked the question. It was like, if you could eliminate one crime from the world, but in order to do that, you have to commit said crime, what would it be? And that was the question. And you saw everyone in their head going like, seeing like, how far would they be willing to go to eliminate that crime forever? And everyone's panicking. And then this one guy speaks up. He goes, I would. And everyone stops and looks at him. He goes, what's it called when you lie in court? And then all of a sudden, everyone's jaw just dropped. And they were like, perjury? He goes, I'm committing perjury, and then we can have 100% trust in our court systems going forward. He's like, nobody can ever perjure themselves ever again after I lie in court one time.
That's
Boom.
smart.
So smart, right? I would have never thought of that. Like he actually made something.
It's like not even that bad a crime too. Like
no.
It's like, he lied.
But it is bit. Though. Like, but you could commit like the lowest level of it, like lie about like. I mean, I've technically committed perjury the one time that I I'll admit
it's
it.
The statute of limitations on that one, Coop.
I'll admit it. I was speeding.
You perjuring?
MF. Can you get a summons in the mail?
I'll admit that I was speeding
that
one
sucker.
time. Yeah, they were right. I lied. I was actually speeding. So. But I mean, that's all you would have to do. And then nobody could lie moving forward, which, would put a lot of people in a hole. Because there's some, believe it or not, there are worse crimes than speeding out there. Maria's like, Coop, how dare you?
Coop. For me, if I had to spend my days unlimited time and resources, I think I would be doing a bit of this. I think I definitely would not be waking up this early. That's for sure. That is for absolute sure. I'd be sleeping in every day. Not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind.
No, here's the solution, Jay.
I would still be doing this show. We would just be
move to a different time zone. You move like internationally. We hate time zones here. Smart. Then you don't have to wake up early, and you can still do this with us. Just live in like
if I was in London,
Europe or something. Yeah.
Yeah. What London's 5 hours, 8 hours ahead?
Something.
What time is it in Australia?
Australia, it's nighttime. It's just flip it upside down.
12:46 p.m. That's still if I could start the show at noon every day. Are you kidding me? I'm moving to London, baby.
We're
eating terrible food.
I saw this. There was this girl from London traveling around the U.S. trying all these things that people represent or like tell her to try. So she went to a Golden Corral, right, and came out and said 10 out of 10, some of the best food I've ever had. And somebody commented, if Golden Corral is 10 out of 10, I am so concerned for the quality of British food. Like, if you came out of there and like, this is a 10 out of 10 meal, what the hell are you eating back home?
Jordan Luke said, enjoy your beans on toast, bruv. I will. And my Indian food. I'll just straight up only eat Indian food.
That's the funny thing is they're like famous for their Indian food, which they just stole from a country that they forcefully occupied, right? Yeah, like
100%, yeah.
Or just like,
but it doesn't change that there are quality restaurants in the UK now.
Yeah, about to find out. I'm gonna be over there on the old honeymoon.
Oh, yeehaw!
Yep, skiddly do.
Run around London just shouting "yeehaw" over.
Yeehaw!
Back to back. Did you spend the entire time me talking, sending us images of shoes that you have repaired in our chat?
Yeah. I didn't really. What did you say that you were like? Something about like Indian food.
Nothing. Nothing worth going back for.
This talk is making me realize what my real answer is. I don't know why this wasn't my answer from the get-go. I literally spend my free time planning hypothetical trips. Like, I've got so many Google Docs with like itineraries of trips I'm never going to take laid out. It's freaking traveling. If I had unlimited time and resources, I would be traveling all over the world, spend a month here, 2 months there, 3 months there. I can work from anywhere. You know what I mean? Just make sure I got internet and my laptop and a microphone, and we're good to go. I'd be traveling everywhere as well.
Oh, we're supposed to do real answers? I would just be partying my face off and like oh, my bad.
That's 100% where I would be. Guys, that's going to be it for Real Talk today, and we're about to get into some real painful talk with the next one. We're talking Thursday night football. Bears versus Commanders. Commanders at the Chicago Bears. The Commanders are 1-point favorites on the road with a blistering total set at 37.5 points. Oop, you taking the over or under on this 37.5 point total?
I might go with the Keith move, man. Just go bet that there's no touchdowns. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, double down.
Could it happen?
Me and Keith rooting against fun outwardly.
I don't know if it can happen. The Bears rushing attack isn't terrible, right? Like they actually have a decent run game, especially if they're able to keep Justin Fields moving. Like, they got him going a little bit last week, should have had a touchdown that got called back. I think the Bears at least get something going on the ground. They'll score.
Do you guys want to take a guess? How many of the Bears games so far this season, up to week 7, because that's currently what we have the lines for available to us, up to week 7, how many of the Bears games have had a total that's over 40 points?
Like before the game, or that's how many points were scored, like once the game was over?
Before the game, like the
Okay,
line.
like where it was
total.
set.
Yeah, where was it set?
Over
Do you have it up right now?
Yep.
Without guessing, I would say maybe one of the games.
Without guessing.
Or without knowing, without looking. Without guessing, I would say
As you proceed to give a very unsure answer, like you were clearly guessing.
Without guessing, I would say
I'll say 3, and that would still be absurd to have 3 games below 40 at this point in the season, is what I'm going to say.
So games over 40.
Right, but there's been 6 games, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying up to week 7. Up to week 7.
Inclusive
so
or
you have next
non-inclusive?
week too?
Because I was considering it non-inclusive.
Inclusive?
Okay, so it includes week 7.
Yeah.
Then I still stick with my answer of 3, but the words I said out loud no longer apply because it's not 3 on the other side too.
I would raise mine to 2.
2 is correct. 2
You
games
nerd.
total of this entire
I did
Green
that all
Bay
without
in week
guessing.
2, and in week 5 against the Vikings, it went up to 44. But
So it was
what was the
really
first
just
one?
can the team they're playing against score enough points to get them
Yes.
to 40? Is what
I knew
it's
the
like.
Vikings. That
the
one
Packers in week 2
Oh,
was
the
at
Packers.
42 was the line or the total.
So next week's is out already, and it's under 40.
Yep. We got Washington this week, which is at 38, and next week is against the Patriots, at the Patriots 38.5.
Dude, that's a Monday night game. That Patriots one. I know.
Yeah,
I know
another prime time.
Prime time, baby.
The
Let's
same
go.
team had 2 totals that are just barely above 40.
Let's
2 prime time
go,
games.
Wait,
dude.
did you say Patriots Bears is a primetime game? Did I
Monday
hear that?
night, bro?
Monday night.
Yeah, Dad.
10:24. 10:24.
That's out here. Yeah, I knew that because I was like looking up what games were in New England for like traffic purposes, and I was like, "What?"
Are you going to any games, Coop?
So that one I could probably go to, dude. Like, cause I can't really go to like 1:00 games because I have
It's too much going on.
obligations. But I could go to Thursday or Monday games, so maybe I will go to that game.
Coop, the way you said you were looking it up ahead of time for traffic purposes is such a dad move. I feel like this is like the second time we're seeing like just like you check the Doppler radar. Whenever someone asks you for directions, you're like, oh, but you're going to want to avoid this way because there's always traffic on game days. Like what you're going to want to do, don't use your GPS. Drive till you see the target. You're going to turn left, stop and get a sandwich. Then like that's how I see you giving direction.
My dad like has always worked in like real estate, so his directions are like a second layer of dad. Like he's like, you drive by the CVS that used to be a Benny's, and before that it was I was just like, dude, I do not even know the history of this building. I have a GPS. You don't even need to do any of this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're all extra.
You pull into the parking lot, walk in, and go, excuse me, did this used to be a Benny's?
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out where to turn left.
Yeah, you go across Arthur Smith Bridge, which got a grant from the building back in a grant from Providence back in 86. I'm like, dude, could not care.
Don't need you start talking grants with me this early.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't you dare.
We financed that one back in 93. I'm like, dude, no.
Jordan says, won't you be in Europe, Coop, during that Monday night football game?
No, because we don't leave for Europe until like Halloween. We're going
until some other time.
We're waiting a little bit before we go. So it's going to be Halloween through we're going for just under 3 weeks. So good, a lot of time.
Woo-hoo.
It's gonna be crazy.
We'll miss you, Tommy.
I'll be calling in though. I'll be calling in. We're doing a little Coop in Europe, Coop in Europe segments. I'll try
Keep
and
in the Europe.
Yeah, I'll see how good the service is out there at some monuments. Pop in, say what up, y'all.
I'm pretty sure it's like a thing where like the internet's faster in Europe, isn't it? Like they've got better internet than we do. Isn't that like a thing that I've read in an article, or am I completely making that up?
Isn't that a thing that you have read?
Yeah, can you guys confirm that I've read that in an article?
I like to think I like to think that you have.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate that.
I think the way it works over there, right, is that like you have to pay to use the bathroom, but they take all that money and apply it to internet speed.
Even in your own home, you have to pay to use the bathroom. There's like a poop jar in every bathroom. Like, pay the poop tax.
Poop jar could be anything. that could be a lot of things.
You can be making some jankums over there.
How else do you think? How else do you think you pay?
Poop in the jar.
You got to pay in the jar, and then you just go in and wash your hands.
You know, I think it's only natural that whenever we talk about the Commanders and Bears, like we end up on poop talk. Like of course that's where we ended up in the middle of talking Commanders versus Bears. We'll probably end up back there as we try to avoid talking more about this game. Who are you guys taking in this one? Commanders are 1-point favorites. Do you think the Commanders pull this one out, or do the Bears get a win with Justin Fields this week?
So unlike the other game, the Bills game that we talked about, I actually do have a take on this one, and I think that Washington's the better team. I think that what I've seen from this Bears team, they need to drastically change how they're operating, and I don't think they can do it overnight. And what I mean by that is that Justin Fields, once again, like we talked about, they called 30-something pass plays and he only threw 20 times. Like, that doesn't work in this league. If it worked, then they wouldn't be the only team doing that. So I don't think they're going to change that this week. So I think Washington wins this one pretty handily, and I'd be willing to sprinkle some dough on that.
Sprinkle some dough. Washington. You're taking Washington as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. As much as I want to pick the Bears, say this is going to be a Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney week, it's probably not going to be a Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney week. There probably aren't going to be very many Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney weeks.
The Bears are 27th in points per game. They're 31st in time of possession. They're 31st in total yards. They're 32nd in offensive plays. They're not only 32nd in pass attempts, but 17.6 pass attempts is insane. I was like, you know what? I don't feel like going back to find a team with that few pass attempts, but I did it anyway. And you have to go all the way back to the Bills.
1923.
Yeah, it's like the Bills in the 80s with O.J. Simpson. Like, you have to go back. They're at 17 pass attempts a game. You have to go back to 2009 just to find a team that's under 25. Like, this team is historically low in terms of pass attempts. I think it's going to come up, and you'll see a little more fantasy relevance out of these guys. But for the time being, this is a non-offense, dude. And you can't just run it all game, because we've seen them have two running backs run for 8 and 9 yards a carry, and they still lost by 10 points. Like, clearly that doesn't work in the modern NFL. So figure it out.
Figure it out. I like that was your closing statement. Joe, can you figure it out?
No. Don't put that on me.
No, Tommy and you're saying Bears suck. If the Commanders get ahead, it will be a blowout, an absolute blowout. Yeah, that makes sense. And Jordan said, I've already called Riverboat Ron as the next coach fired. I need this.
Ooh,
you think Riverboat Ron's going to get fired?
I don't want that.
I don't think it'll be.
Because in fantasy football, Riverboat Ron is one of the very few guys that uses a super highly consolidated snap share. Like, he's like kind of like Sean McVay, where he's willing to use the same 11 dudes every play. I love that for fantasy football. You know what I mean? Like, I guess he does rotate the running backs now, but like with the Panthers, he used legit the same 11 guys every play with Christian McCaffrey. And with this team, you know, we've seen plenty of times he's willing to use 3 wide receivers and Logan Thomas, and it's the same 3 wide receivers every snap. That's so good for fantasy football. I do not want Riverboat Ron fired. I don't care if he's a good coach.
Yeah, speaking of the running back room on the Washington side, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson led the team in rushing last week. What are you guys expecting this week against Chicago?
Nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopefully not starting any of these guys, but if you're starting, I think you can plug Brian Robinson into your lineups if you need to. But I'm trying to avoid players from this game. That it's not looking sexy, not looking like a high upside start.
If you're rostering Antonio Gibson, you're benching him, Simon?
If you've got better options, which you very likely do. I mean, I know that's a cop-out answer.
Well,
but
if you got a better option, go with that one.
Well,
but if you got a worse option, go with this one.
You asked me if I'm going to start him with no context. Like, I'm not
fantasy.
Be more of a take Smith, dude. Make something up.
Take Smith.
I'm not starting Antonio Gibson if at all avoidable.
There you go. Was that so hard?
Better? That was way better.
That was way better, dude.
Definitive. Divinity.
If you're gonna start a running back in Washington, it's Brian Robinson, but you're sad either way.
J.D. McKissick, get him in there.
JD McKissick. MF and McKissick.
Tommy did ask earlier, Brian Robinson or Khalil Herbert has to start one of them. Which one would you start tonight?
Brian Robinson, dude. He got 10 carries. He got the most carries on his team. Antonio Gibson only had 3. Khalil Herbert is the backup running back for the Chicago Bears, as sad as that is.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson.
Yep.
Brian Robinson for me as well. Also, before we continue talking about this game, we had some questions from we had a question from Brendan come in here. Said Myers and Knox for Hawkinson and Cooks, full PPR. So Jacoby Myers and Dawson Knox for TJ Hawkinson and Brandon Cooks.
Give me the Hawkinson side.
Deal. You Hawk and Cooks all day long, dude. Knox doesn't easy. Not only Knox wasn't even playing well, and then he got hurt. Like,
Knox is a non-factor.
Basically trading Jacoby Myers for TJ Hawkinson and Brandon Cooks. Like I would I'd probably trade Myers for either one of those guys.
Yeah.
As much as I love Jacoby Myers, he's such a low A dot.
He's just PPR
possession guy.
He's gonna get you some decent stuff in PPR. That's about it.
Exactly. That's about
it. But Cooks is the same guy, so why not go Cooks and get a Hawkinson for free?
Wait, what compelled that person to come to you and offer you the good players for the okay players?
Yeah.
Dawson Box is exactly right, Jordan Luke.
And Brendan says perfect means I won.
That's
I like
good
this
move, Brendan. Good move.
I'm
Good job, Brendan.
Also, Tommy in the chat said, this means Herbert goes for 120 and 2 touchdowns, as is fantasy. 100%. That's what's going to happen.
Not David Montgomery's healthy.
But maybe.
I thought he was going to take over the backfield, guys. What happened?
Wah, wah, wah. That's what happened. No, it was always, whenever we were talking through it, it was like, this is an opportunity, right? We're seeing a path forward that we can write the narrative for Khalil Herbert to take over this backfield. Well, we wrote it, and the Bears said it's David Montgomery. You know what I mean?
What I was worried about.
You're gonna have.
Let's see who will hold that longer. All right, I'll go then.
I was like, are you gonna go on?
No, this is some of the concerns I brought up is that we saw this last year, and then they just decided not to continue with Khalil Herbert. I don't think that they think about it the same way.
Khalil Herbert came out last year and had 100 yards rushing against the best run defense in the league in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the moment David Montgomery came back, they were like, get back on the bench. Like he literally had the only 100-yard game against the best run defense, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I still think, I just want to say, even though he's not taking over as the running back, I still think it was worth that shot on the waiver wire, right? Like these types of players where there is that opportunity, that's why you're picking them up, is it could have happened, right? Not necessarily like it's guaranteed. You're going to miss some of those shots. They're not always going to play out the way we want them to, but in order to hit on the guy that is going to take over that backfield, sometimes you take a Khalil Herbert who just gets relegated straight into backup duties, and that's okay. That's okay. He's still a worthwhile player on your team, even if he doesn't reach the ceiling that we had projected for him when picking him up off the waiver wire, right?
You missed
drafting him.
You missed 100% of the shots you don't hit.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Is it Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky, or Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott?
I think it's Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
But I also tweaked the quote a little bit there.
Maria asked, "Do I put Zeke in this week?
In where?
FYF week? What do you guys think?"
Oh, that answered it.
Here, I'll answer for Simon. It depends on other players you have.
Simon's like, I'm so done with you guys.
I deserve that. No, yeah. Now I do put I've just been rolling Zeke out because number one, he's at least a starting running back and he has a shot of scoring, which puts him ahead of Khalil Herbert, puts him ahead of all these other guys. He's also playing the Lions this week, who their defense has been atrocious. So I think Zeke is a good start this week.
Zeke, back up with Antonio Gibson. He's not even an RB3 this week. Okay. So whenever I said that, it was basically saying I really hope not is what I was saying. Zeke is an RB2. I can confidently say play him. Sure, there's going to be teams out there where he is on your bench, but he's an RB2 this week. He's a top 24 guy. Plug him into your lineups. Antonio Gibson's outside of that even top 36 running back range this week. So you better hope you're not playing him, but you might have to.
Yeah, I'm fine playing Zeke this week. I think he's probably RB2, maybe RB3, but
still that's worthy enough for you to start in this economy.
And Jordan down here saying if you have better players than Zeke, I'd bench him. So again, with that more analysis, I'm just getting roasted over and over and over.
What you said wasn't even that bad either. It's just, it was funny.
It's just constant. Squirrel Bob said thoughts on starting both running backs from a backfield. So I'm assuming not in this game, but like Zeke and Pollard. Would you start both of those guys on the same team?
Yeah, I would, especially this week, right? That one is matchup dependent, but I mean, against the Lions, dude, for sure. I mean, the Patriots, like, as much as I joke about it, like, Bailey Zappi being a star, like, the Patriots aren't that good of a team, and they hung 29 on this team, and they scored 0. All right, I think the Lions right now have the worst defense. They're letting up the most points per game of any team in the league, right?
Yeah, they are. Their defense is truly abysmal. It's
as abysmal as it gets.
It's as abysmal as it gets.
That's abysmal.
I got you. I got your back, Simon.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much, Coop. I really appreciate it over there. Back to this Washington Commanders at Chicago Bears game. Coop, I was scrolling through our first touchdown scorer prop, one we always like to do, and I noticed something fun that isn't on a lot of the other ones. No touchdown scored has better odds than 11 players that they have odds listed for. There are 11 players listed after no touchdown scored for this game. That's pretty high. I wonder if it's because of it hitting last week, and so they're trying to like put it up a little bit. Know what I mean?
They're trying to sucker bet everybody with that. Yeah, because I saw that, but that's what I was kind of making fun of Keith a little bit for, because this one was up for the Thursday game. It wasn't up for any of the games we looked at. But Keith got plus 7,000 odds. If you just bet if you bet it through FanDuel with the first touchdown scored line, it would have been plus 10,000. So kind of just lost.
So you would have got 300. You just threw away $300 with your choice of platform there, Keith.
Oops.
It's at plus 3,100 this week on FanDuel. No touchdown scored.
So more than half.
Yeah. Should we dig into that now, or are we gonna play that game later? Let's dig
into this game now. Who's the deepest player you would bet for first touchdown scorer? We had a question in the chat from Dustin. Dustin want to say, how far down is a DST touchdown? Washington defense is at plus 2,600. Chicago defense is at plus 2,700. So a little bit better odds.
There were deeper ones. This is my personal rule for this game. Is that I got to pick somebody that's after the quarterbacks, because at any given time there could be a QB sneak, right? So when I see Carson Wentz below the defensive touchdowns there, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got to pick somebody deeper than this, because I mean, QB sneak is super realistic, right? For anybody. Is that not true?
No, you're 100% right. I think what the move here is to go with one of those secondary receiving options in Chicago. We've seen them targeted in the end zone so far this year. Dante Pettis or a Velus Jones, I think, is where my money would go. We saw Velus Jones do it last week, right? He got in there. Maybe you say this is the start of something new.
Velus Jones.
I'll tell you where I would go here. I think I would go. The deepest one that I would consider is Ryan Griffin. In every game he's been healthy, he's gotten at least one target, and he has 4. He's only played 3 games. He has 4 targets on the season, but on the Bears, 4 targets is like a 10% target share, right? Like, if you really think about how little they're passing. So give me Ryan Griffin plus 4,700.
Plus 4,700. I'll go Velus Jones plus 3,500 on this one. Joe, you got one?
So what's the game? I had to beat you guys at this?
Plus 3,500.
It's about being
it's not about just pick. You're picking like how deep would you go that you think could actually be the first touchdown score.
Yeah, that you could, but that you can create a narrative.
Harry, 4,300.
I mean,
oh boy,
that's it's like Trevin Wesco is like a hybrid fullback tight end that was cut by the Jets. Like, he's not going to score the first touchdown.
Yeah, this isn't a game where like you're trying to like beat us. It's not like and you're the winner. It's just like
literally always trying to beat you guys in some way if I can.
Maybe we don't let you play this game.
I'll go with no touchdown scored.
Plus 3,100. Plus 31. Man, that's
Treston Ebner quietly getting a little work.
Here's the thing. Is the likelihood that that's going to happen twice in a row Well, I guess again, like it's not affected by that. Probability doesn't work like that, so should be good.
In a game like this, the real answer is like David Montgomery. Like,
yeah, David Montgomery at
Yeah.
plus 600. Yeah,
being
that's probably the
realistic, like you
answer.
can't go too much deeper.
You actually
than,
want to
like,
put this money on? Yeah.
Curtis Samuel. Like you can't go
Miami
much deeper than the
Brown.
usual suspects here to score the touchdown.
I'd go Gibson plus 1,800. That's scary, but
The
I'd do
touchdown, singular.
it. Yeah.
Tommy calling for Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet at plus 1,700, the seventh most
Cole Kmet's a
likely.
good one.
And then Jordan going with Equinemius St. Brown, who's been
EQSB.
just absolutely shocking this year, the level with which he's been involved in that offense. I thought he was just a dude they were adding. Know what I mean? Like just straight up depth. He's like every week I hear his name 4 or 5 times, it feels like, just over and over again on the TV. They're throwing him the ball. And every time he gets the ball, I'm like, that's not Darnell Mooney. That is not Darnell Mooney. That is someone else entirely. Different person. Hurts my feelings every time.
Bigger person. Yeah.
We got some questions here in the chat. Maria asking Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, Ezekiel Elliott. Those are the running backs in the league. So she was asking, should she put Zeke in? If you're only starting 2 running backs, the 2 I'm picking in this are Singletary and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. The thing about Singletary is he kind of has been working the opposite of a normal running back where, like, when they're winning, he doesn't have good games when they're winning. Like last week, he did not have a good game. It's the games where it's like a shootout that he does well, where he gets like a bunch of targets, like versus the Dolphins game. He got like a ton of targets in that game. So this game being a shootout game, I'm with you. I think, JL, this is a Devin Singletary, play a bunch of pass snaps, get a bunch of targets type game here.
Yeah. What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, it's Singletary and Jonathan Taylor for me.
Do we know Taylor's playing? If Taylor's out, who are you starting? If Taylor's out,
remember when everyone made fun of me and was like, "Oh, it depends on who else you'd be starting." And then Coop was like, "I'm starting Zeke," and then comes in and goes, "Well, actually, based on the other players that you have on your team, I would not be starting."
What we did is we got more information, and then we answered the question instead of just being like, "Yeah, it depends who you have."
If you got better players, start them.
No, I'm going Singletary and
information is
Singletary and Taylor on that one. If Taylor is not playing, it's Zeke over CEH. Sure, CEH has a nose for the end zone, but he's not even seeing full snaps. Zeke's the starter. You got to start Zeke over him.
Yep.
Implicit asking, just traded Pierce for Mike Williams and Gibson, but I got Herbert. Not a question.
Pierce.
It's just a statement.
Mike Williams.
Well, I'm assuming he probably wants us to comment on that trade while we think about it.
Damian Pierce or Alec Pierce? Probably Damian Pierce, right?
Probably Damian Pierce. If you're getting Mike Williams in return.
Mike Williams and Gibson, but I got Herbert for Mike Williams, and I'm confused by that a little bit.
So he's saying that part of the reason you did the deal is to stack Mike Williams with Justin.
But he already has Herbert.
He already has.
I got Herbert. Okay.
Yeah,
Mike Williams and
fair
Gibson.
deal.
Yeah, I think Mike Williams for Damian Pierce is pretty.
Assuming that you like when you do a trade like that, Damian Pierce wasn't your RB2. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like that trade.
Yeah, no, this trade makes sense. Damian Pierce for Mike Williams. That's a great return on Damian Pierce.
Then you get Gibson on top of it.
And like that's fine, right? It's depth.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not plugging a Gibbs. Like that doesn't move the needle for me on this trade at all. This trade is Pierce for Mike Williams.
Yeah.
And that's a fair trade.
Tyson Carter asking, hey, good morning.
Hey,
morning,
Tyson.
Tyson.
Good morning to you as well.
Brian Robinson or Chris Olave or maybe Cam Akers. Also, Irv Smith or Kyle.
Well, let's focus on those running backs first. Let's do the running backs first.
Brian Robinson or Chris Olave, the two running backs.
That's not a running back.
That's a flex.
Hey, let's look at the flex first.
Chris Olave.
Yeah, it's Chris Olave for me as well.
Brian
Robinson's not a bad start.
Oh, and then okay.
And then there's the second question. If Kyle Pitts is playing, I'm starting Kyle Pitts. Smith. Otherwise, you just got to start Irv. So Kyle Pitts.
This is a 12-team PPR, by the way.
In that case, Kyle Pitts still is long.
Here's the thing about some of these players, right? Cole Kmet and Kyle Pitts specifically this applies to is that like these guys have good behind the scenes numbers, as crazy as that sounds. Like Cole Kmet is 7th in the league in routes run per dropback. It's just they're calling 30 something dropbacks. He's running like 29 routes, and then they're only throwing it 20 times. So a guy like that, he's in a position to potentially have big games. And same with Kyle Pitts. Like they're throwing so little on that team that he actually has a 23% target share, and he's running a 14% average depth of target. With real volume, Kyle Pitts would have more games like the one big game he did. It's just they haven't been throwing. So, like, to put in perspective, Joe Flacco on the season, he only played 3 games. He hasn't played the last 2 games at all. He has more pass attempts than Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, and Justin Fields. And he's been benched for 2 games now, and he still has more pass attempts than those guys. That's how crazy some of these teams are in terms of throwing the ball. The Falcons are not throwing it. Dude. The Falcons aren't throwing it. The Titans aren't throwing it. The Bears aren't throwing it.
Yeah, the Falcons have San Francisco this week, which is a very, very difficult matchup.
It's a terrible matchup. Yeah.
Yeah. Irv Smith, they're playing. Minnesota's playing Miami. I think I'd go Irv Smith here.
Why? What has Irv Smith done to make you be like, I got to get Irv Smith in the line?
What has Kyle Pitts done that you got to think that
nothing? But he's Kyle Pitts.
Like I know, but he's been garbage. And like you just made the point. You just made my point is that the passing volume hasn't been there.
Even with the passing volume low, Kyle Pitts has been better than Irv Smith.
So let's say
I'll take Irv Smith.
You and David Beckham each miss a penalty kick, right? You guys stand in the spot. You each miss one.
Yeah, that's
someone
the same thing.
Someone asks me afterwards. They say
because I'm in the whatever.
No,
soccer
but
league
you get to pick one of these. Jill, I'm obviously making hyperbole an extreme difference, but I do think Kyle Pitts is a way more talented tight end than Irv Smith is. Like the talent level is almost as big as David Beckham to JL. So even though you guys both missed the first one, I'm gonna pick. Mistake. Even though you guys both missed the first one, right? You guys are both 0%. I have to pick who's going to make the second one. Like, you could go, well, David Beckham missed the first one too. Might as well start JL, but I'm going to go, but it's David Beckham. So I'm going to plug David Beckham.
You take Kyle Pitts.
The way I view this is like, if it's, imagine Travis Kelce, and then you got Kyle Pitts, right? Travis Kelce, slightly better, but, going down to Kyle Pitts, not so bad. So the difference there ain't so bad.
Yeah, but at least we've seen Kyle Pitts have a game with 80-something yards. Like, if you take Irv Smith's best 2 games, he doesn't have 80 yards.
He's got half of that, which is honestly not that bad.
It's the best 2 games he's had all
yards.
season.
That's four more fantasy points.
Take the best 2 games he's had all season, and it's not as many yards as the best game for Pitts.
Agree to disagree. I'll go Irv Smith here.
Irv Smith is the safe play in terms of like, he gets 2 or 3 catches, and Pitts might only get 2, but can't do it. Can't do it.
It's all Jail's looking for is just 2 or 3 catches.
That's all I need out of my tight end. My garbage tight end.
All I need to get by. Yeah, I mean, I if we're starting trash tight ends, dude, I'll just start the one that is fast.
You know what it probably is, JL? I'm a lot more concerned about upside because my fantasy teams are so bad right now. You've just got rock star fantasy teams where like it's okay if you just get a couple points from your tight ends. You're not worried about it. But I'm shooting for all that upside, which is why I got to plug that Kyle Pitts in over Irv Smith. So it's just your advanced fantasy prowess.
Prowess.
Kyle Pitts might not even play, right? He's got a hamstring, so the decision might be made for yourself.
I think he has 2 hamstrings.
Otherwise, we obviously need to figure out some sort of bet on this one.
Yeah, Irv Smith versus Kyle Pitts. Yeah, if they both play this weekend, let's make a bet. A Christopher Walken bet. You got to do a minute of dialogue in Christopher Walken's voice.
Jeez, could you pick an impression that's not like one of the hardest ones possible?
See, I was thinking that was one of the easier ones. Because like we've all thrown little walk-in impressions here and there throughout our lives, right?
Would you rather do Christopher Walken or Ellen DeGeneres? You can take your pick.
I wouldn't even know how to do an Ellen.
I don't even know how to do an Ellen, dude. Just dance. I could probably do a little Ellen. Be easier.
I have watched an absurd amount of Ellen in my life because my mom watched it every single day. That's another impression where I would think it would come out really well, and then I would scare myself immediately because I can't do impressions at all whatsoever.
What was the one you did yesterday?
Chewbacca. It was Chewbacca.
Why haven't we clipped that?
I have clipped it, JL. It's so bad. It is. I'll send it to you after this. It is.
I thought mine was real bad.
You're like, what?
Yours was like. Yours looked physically painful.
Jail, yours was good. Do you like practice that? That was like very good.
I have practiced it in the past. It's come up in the past. This isn't a new thing. Like the Chewbacca challenge is like a thing,
The Chewbacca challenge? I missed that one. Was that before or
I don't know
after
if
the
that's what it
cinnamon
was called.
challenge?
I don't know if that's what it's called, but that was a big thing on the internet for a while. Is making Chewbacca sounds.
I missed that phase of the internet. I must have been busy playing Neopets or something while everyone was making Chewbacca noises.
You're way far back.
Tyson,
You're way too far back.
Tyson
Too
wants
far back.
Tyson wants Liam Neeson or James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones would be hella hard.
Oh,
There's something I could give him.
Stop it.
One more time. One more time. One more time. One more time.
Spot on.
Yes.
That is textbook
Chewbacca,
that
dude.
is textbook Chewbacca.
Oh my goodness,
just
dude.
that was just under different atmospheric
God.
pressure, and that's
What
why
the
it sounded
hell?
that way.
Way worse than I remember, dude.
That was so good. One more time, Keith. We need.
No more, dude. Please no, dude.
I
Please
can't
no.
do it anymore.
Oh God.
What is up with my face? What am I doing while I'm
I don't know.
Like I got down into like the
You got
face
it.
from Jimmy, like in a pose to just let that noise escape from my
kind
body.
of a great, it turned into a great seagull impression, I feel. Like you got down there.
I feel like it's from like an old cartoon, as like someone gets like hit in the stomach and their like eyes pop out of their head and they're like, oh, like as they're like getting injured over and over. Like it's like a cartoon sound right there.
I honestly, Simon, just given the dolphin impression and like the time and effort that you put into that, I thought Chewbacca wouldn't be that far of a stretch for you. So I was very surprised when it was so different.
Different.
Absolutely. No, that one was not good. The dolphin impression I did spend a lot of time and effort on.
What the hell is that?
He is Mowgli.
Is he Mowgli? He just jungle booked you.
This is Tarzan swinging around over there.
This is your full-time job, Keith. This is the career you've chosen.
Just putting my head on the different cartoon characters and playing that god awful noise. How many guesses, if you were played that noise and that someone was impersonating someone or a character, how many guesses would you need to get to Chewbacca? Do you think you'd ever get there?
I never get it. I never get it.
I never get it.
I'm trying to think of what I would even guess. I would just be like, nothing makes that sense.
Chicken? I don't know.
Paul Rudd? I'm not sure.
Is that Paul Rudd impersonation?
That's the best Paul Rudd I can do. I started thinking, wouldn't it be fun to do combo impressions as punishments? Like you have to do like
Paul Rudd as a rooster.
Paul Rudd as a rooster, or like Liam Neeson and James Earl Jones. Liam Neeson as James Earl Jones in a movie. That's what you got to do.
That would be
That's a good one
so
right there.
difficult, but so good if you could nail like bits from each.
Keith and he said, dude, I was crying when I clipped that, like cackling. Yeah, that's what Keith just spent all last night, just like figuring out all the different ways he could play that video for the next month on this show.
Good.
Back to the
I love
Commanders
that.
Bears game. There's really not too much more to talk about here. I wanted to hit a couple props while we were talking about these players. Brian Robinson, we've talked about as a potential start. His rushing yards prop is set at 48.5 yards. You guys touching that?
Touching that.
No, I don't think I could because it's too up in the air. I noticed they don't even have rushing yards props for Antonio Gibson.
Nope,
That
gone.
speaks to the usage for Brian Robinson, but I can't do it.
Can't do it, Joe.
Yeah,
what about you?
Too volatile for sure in this type of game. It's just not going to be predictable enough. We don't have enough data really of Brian Robinson's usage going back that we would know what the norm is. Now, maybe that's a chance for exploitation. So if you want to take your shot, I'm cool with that. But you got to know it's more of a bet than other bets.
Yeah. When I look at these, the one I kind of like is Khalil Herbert over 26 yards, even as the backup, just because the first two
What did he
games
get last week.
he had 11 yards last week, so not that good. But the first two games as the backup, he hit the over both times. So this is it's not the Vikings. It's not the 4-1 Vikings. It's Washington. So I think it's entirely possible for Khalil Herbert.
And while Washington not like the worst in the league against the run, they haven't been showing up to stop the run, right? They're bottom third in fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. So it's not like a matchup that scares me off. It's not one where I'm trying to force players in to start them against a bad rush defense, but their defense
Where are
doesn't scare me
Vikings
off
on
these
that
days.
list against run defense or against running backs?
Vikings, I can tell you in 1 second. The Vikings,
Vikings
one spot ahead of the Commanders.
You beat me to it.
They're just in that same range. So another bottom third team, but slightly better than the Commanders. Like the Vikings are giving up on average 17.4 fantasy points per game to the opposing running backs. The Commanders 17.6. So right there in that same range. Gotcha. And then yards wise, they're almost identical. Commanders 89.4 per game, Vikings 89.8. So 0.4 yards more per game on the Vikings side. And touchdowns exactly the same, 0.6. JL, your question, what a great question. They're identical. They're practically identical against the run when you're just looking at fantasy statistics over there. I don't mind your call on Khalil Herbert, but if we're being honest, I'm just probably not on any of these rushing yards props. Like I'm not touching them. If I were to touch one, it would be that Brian Robinson one. I'm like, he's the player I have the most confidence in. I don't think 48.5 yards is a ridiculous line for him, but mostly it's just hands off. On the receiving side, the player with the highest yardage total in their over-under is Terry McLaurin at 54.5 yards. You guys touching that one? For me, that's a hands off. That's an under for me. 54.5 yards for Terry McLaurin. I'm not taking the over on that.
54.5. It does seem high. That does seem pretty high.
I like the Curtis Samuel one. I talked about this with John and Pemba on the Fantasy Alarm podcast that he's getting the targets. He's getting like 9-10 targets every game, and all it takes is to get 48 yards is to really break one when you're getting that many targets. Like if he breaks one play for like 25 or 30 yards, he's going to get there. So I do like the Curtis Samuel's one is the one I like best out of this whole group. And I will say the Cole Kmet one is kind of high. What's with the
Cole Kmet?
Yeah, why
29.5
for Cole Kmet, dude? Who's been doing kind of meh. That's pretty high. I mean, like that's in there with like the normal normal tight ends, and he hasn't really been a normal tight end. So for him, that's actually kind of high compared to what he's been doing.
Taking the under?
And I don't want to bet that one. I think Cole Kmet, he got 3 targets the game before, 4 targets the last game. I think
it's like 50% target share right there.
Too possible. Yeah, that's what I mean. For real though, it kind of is. So that one's too possible, but at least speaks to them believing that the team will have to throw more than they usually do, which is none.
Yeah. Guys, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit of DFS as well as play a game that we're calling Fantasy Feud. We've played it once on here before. We're going to play it again. And then our friend Ethan Cadeau is joining the show a little bit later today as well. He's a Commanders writer and digital content producer at NBC Sports Washington. There's another letter in there. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Corey, Nando, and friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
Offense is down this year, Nando.
Yeah, it is.
Offense is down this year. Definitely. Offense has been problematic this year. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that struggle offensively. Let me look it up right now. Geno Smith right now is QB6 on the season.
I can buy that.
I can buy that too. What's in the top 12 right now, Nando?
Yeah.
This is going to blow your mind. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, QB4, Kyler Murray. QB5, Joe Burrow. Even with that being the top 5, okay, cool. I get it. Now here's where things get weird. QB6, Geno Smith. QB7, Carson Wentz. QB8, Jared Goff. Geno Smith, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff on QB6, 7, and 8. That's crazy. Those are undrafted dudes. Wentz throwing for a lot of yards. The Commanders can move the football, Nando.
Yeah.
The problem is they shoot themselves in the foot with penalties.
Right.
And that turnover is coming at some point. That Wentz interception, that Wentz fumble, you're going to get it at some point. Yesterday, they got it at the worst possible time. They're driving down, try to win the game. Bam, there goes the turnover. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But outside of that, his yardage he might have threw for 375 yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. QB9,
Herbert. QB10, Mahomes and Herbert, Two of the first quarterbacks going off the board this year in drafts are QB 9 and 10. QB 11, Kirk Cousins. QB 12, Tom Brady. 13 is Daniel Jones.
He's running.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is athletic. He is athletic. That was one thing that Jones does have with this game.
He's running through injury.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to hold on to his job.
Credit, man. Good for him.
This offense has not been great, been the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Offense has not been great this season. QB 32, Mac Jones. He's a starter. Winston has missed time. Dak Prescott has missed time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that could be no Trey Lance, right? Justin Fields is a starter. We didn't expect much from him. Baker Mayfield. Oh my God, he stinks. That's a starter. Matthew Stafford, a starter who stinks. Matt Ryan, a starter who stinks. Ryan Tannehill, a starter who stinks. Aaron Rodgers is QB 18. The reason why offense stinks is because quarterback play has declined.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. Coop, during that break, I was taking a peek through our text messages, that text message chat. You're pretty talented at repairing those shoes. I was impressed, man. You made some old shoes look really nice. How do you get that shine on there, man?
Dude, I got a whole box full of different polishes, all sorts of different stuff, man. So it's I get them fired up. Just shined my shoes up for the wedding yesterday, so we're ready to rock and roll, baby. But yeah,
I'm imagining you sitting on the couch watching Antiques Roadshow, polishing your shoes like that. That seems like what's going on. Is that the vibe?
What's funny at my old apartment. So the thing is, with the shoe shine doesn't smell so bad, but the polish sometimes does. So at my old apartment, I would actually sit in the driveway with like a beer and just like a table and watch like Thursday night football and shine my shoes like outside. It was
in the driveway.
She got my girlfriend and be like, "Go outside with that stuff. It stinks." Oh, it's a ghost.
Girlfriend doesn't like it. Does the fiance like it?
Fiance has to like it, dude. That's why she's getting married. That was actually the deciding factor at the end of the day. I was like, "How's this smell?" And one of them was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're the one."
Wow.
It was just like that's a deal breaker for you, is if they don't like the smell of shoe polish. Like you have to have grown up in a shoe polishing family.
Sorry if I look distracted. I'm photoshopping Simon's face onto Chewbacca.
Onto what?
Onto Chewbacca.
Onto Chewbacca.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's a good use of your time right now, Coop. While you're doing that, we are about to get into a game that we're calling Fantasy Feud. It is a lot like the popular TV show Family Feud, except I am not Steve Harvey, and most of these questions are going to be NFL or fantasy football related. How it's going to work is I'm going to name a category, something like the top 6 quarterbacks in fantasy points through 5 weeks or something like that. You guys, one of you will buzz in by saying your name and tell me a player that you think is on that list. If that player is the first player on that list, you will have the opportunity to play or pass. If you play, you're going to try to guess all of the players that are in the list that I have asked you to name. Name all of them before you get 3 strikes. You're going to get the points for that round, 1 point for each answer that is up there. But if you get it wrong, your opponent will have an opportunity to steal by naming one that's left that you have not named. Now, in that opening round, if you name something besides the first one on the list, your opponent will have an opportunity to try to name the number one on that list, at which point they will go first. Or if there is no number one, like if they're not ranked, then there is no opportunity for your opponent to do that. You guys ready to get into this?
Yep.
I'm pumped.
Yep. Who wants to go first? Oh, now nobody goes first. You guys are going to buzz in, so that works. Too bad. No matter which one of you said it, you were going to be disappointed.
How do we buzz in?
Buzz.
You just say your name, and you only got to do it in that initial one. That was really cute. Do it again.
Yeah.
I want that to be my little text message notification for each of you. Is just like when I get a message, it goes JL or Q.
Yeah. Cool.
Like I just hear my phone sitting on the couch next to me go, Coop. I would be so happy to open that little text message from Coop. You know, it'd be a little one too. Here is your first one. The top 5 running backs with the most rushing attempts this season.
Coop.
Okay, Coop, who do you think is on this list?
With the most rushing attempts, top 5. Give me Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is on that list. He does not have the most, though. So, JL, you are going to get an opportunity to steal this one if you would like to so far.
Snatch it away.
Most rushing attempts. I'm going to go with
Could you take it all away?
I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley is on the list, but is not the top answer. So you've got 2 of those on the list, Coop. You are going to get to play this, though. You've got 3 strikes to try to get the remaining 3 players that are on this list. If you get them all, you're going to get all 5 points for this. If not, Jail's going to have an opportunity to steal it.
All right, let's do it.
And a reminder, make sure you guys got those sections closed down there. The comments. Yeah. Some people are going to be guessing. And guys, play along in the chat. Throw your guesses in the chat for this. Now, again, this was the most attempts, the top 5 running backs with the most attempts so far this season. We've got 2 of them guessed already, Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley. What's your next guess, Coop?
So got to guess the guy that we've been talking about him all week as a guy that's played like every snap, and that's Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is number 5 on this list, Coop. Nice job.
Do I get to know?
What is that? My God.
Yeah, you can know where they are on the list. I can tell you. Okay. You've got Nick Chubb at number 2, Saquon Barkley at number 3, and Josh Jacobs at number 5.
Okay. Damn, this is hard. Because there's so many guys that have missed a game or 2 games that it makes it very difficult in my estimation. Let me go with despite not being super efficient, I feel like Joe Mixon is getting a lot of carries. Is
that your guess?
Yes, it is.
Joe Mixon is number 4, Coop. There is just one left. The number 1 option is the only one left. You've got all 3 strikes to try to get this.
Okay. Number 1 option.
If you take too long, I will preemptively bonk you, though.
I don't want to be bonked. I do not want to be bonked. Is it Austin Eckler?
It is not Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is number 20. 61 carries. That is 1 strike.
Yeah, he does catch more passes than he does run the football. Okay. Let's see.
Let's get 2 bonks in here. Let's make it a little interesting, Coop.
Could get a couple bonks in here. I really don't know this one. I really don't know. Is it Jeff Wilson?
It is not Jeff Wilson. He is number 12 on this list, though. Tied for number 12 with, I was about to tell you another name, but that would be giving information.
That would be great if you gave me more information.
That is 2 bonks for Coop.
What am I missing?
1 more bonk and JL's going to have an opportunity to steal.
Oh, not JL.
We had some Eckler guesses in the chat, Coop, so you were not alone in guessing Austin Eckler.
What's it gonna be, Coop?
Just need 1 second to run through all 32 teams and all their starting running backs in my mind.
I'll give you 5. How about that? I'll 5x what you just asked for. 5 whole seconds.
5x.
Oh, is it Derrick Henry?
It is Derrick Henry with 104 attempts. Coop pulling it out at the last second, getting all 5 of them for 5 points, Coop. You're going to start off with 5 points in this game.
Give JL a tough category. Give JL a ridiculous category.
Well, it's another toss-up.
Who has the most punt attempts?
It's time for another toss-up. You guys ready for this next one?
Yeah.
I guess before we do that, I was a little surprised Derrick Henry was sitting there at number 1 on rush attempts. It just hasn't felt that way this season. I don't know why.
You know what made me think of it is I just mentioned how few pass attempts Ryan Tannehill has. As somebody that's behind even Joe Flacco in pass attempts, so I was like, they got to be running some kind of plays, right?
Yeah. Who was it in the chat that guessed Derrick Henry? Tyson was the first person to put Henry in the chat. Nice job, Tyson, on that one. And then while we're talking
YouTube showing up the folks in the app, dude.
I know they're killing it. Cole had a Henry question for us. He said, should I trade Henry and Schultz for Hall and Ertz? So Derrick Henry and Dalton Schultz for Breece Hall and Zach Ertz. You guys making that move? Some JJ musical chairs up in here again?
I mean, this one isn't as much musical chairs because you're swapping positional strength.
No,
I'm fine making this trade.
It's a running back and a tight end for a running back and a tight end, right?
Yeah, but I guess Jail's saying you're downgrading one and upgrading other.
Yeah, that's fine.
Here's where I'm at is that we don't know. We really haven't seen many games where Zach Ertz played with DeAndre Hopkins, and we've seen no games where Zach Ertz played with DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown. Right now, the Cardinals they're leading the league in pass attempts and they don't have DeAndre Hopkins there. What happens if they get DeAndre Hopkins back and they also don't throw it 40 something times a game? Last year, only one team threw over 40 times a game. The year before that, only one team threw over 40 times a game. There's a real possibility that this team throws a little less and there's more target competition. So I don't think Zach Ertz is necessarily a monster upgrade over Schultz. That's why I would probably just keep Henry and Schultz.
Yeah, I'm with you, Coop. I'm keeping Henry and Schultz as well. What about you, JL?
Yeah, I'm probably keeping Henry and Schultz. But I think this is a fine trade. I'm not as worried. I think Ertz will still be a factor in this offense, even with DeAndre Hopkins back.
He'll still be a factor, but I mean, even with Michael Gallup back, wouldn't Schultz still probably be an option? I mean, last year he was tight end.
Schultz is dealing with that injury is the only thing.
Yeah, it's like Zeke last year where they just said PCL, just play through it. So yeah.
And what if we just get a Schultz light all the rest of the season as he's playing through this? That's the biggest thing that worries me between the two guys.
The thing is, it's like if you're gonna downgrade from Derrick Henry to Breece Hall, I need a bigger upgrade. Like you need to be going up.
You're probably
you need to be going up to like Goddard or I mean, you can't really go all the way up to Kelsey or Andrews, right? But if you can go up to like a Goddard or somebody, or maybe JL's favorite, an Irv Smith type.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki, too. Mike
Gesicki, unless you're counting Taysom Hill, Mike Gesicki might be my least favorite tight end because I feel like he was one where I was so excited for him. And then watching him play is like, it's just so predictable. It's just catch and fall, catch and fall, catch and fall. Like he's the opposite of a yak monster. Like what is he's like
yak black hole.
He's the yak hole.
Yak hole, dude. You know that, and the crazy thing is that like that's not necessarily like out of characteristic for Mike Gesicki. Dude, he went an entire season. I think it was last season. He went an entire season without breaking a single tackle. Like,
I believe it. He's
the most tackleable player, and he's the yak hole, dude. And
it was like a monkey's paw thing where like he wished to like be able to catch every ball thrown his way, and they're like, but you'll do nothing with it. Like that's all you'll do.
Here's a monkey's paw.
You've never heard of the monkey's paw curling, where like you make a wish, but it comes true with unintended consequences. Like as the paw curls, like you wish to be the most handsome man on earth, but then what happens is all other men are dead. Know what I mean? Instead of you becoming more handsome. Like it's the.
I'm aware of this in stories. Like, I just didn't know.
Like you wish to be the most handsome man on earth, and then you look down and you just have like a tiny wiener. Like that's
that's another way it could go.
That's another monkey paw, right?
That's the much worse way.
It's not everything changes.
Not everything. JL looks down and he's like, still an improvement. Can't win everything, But yeah,
what's up, little guy?
But dude, here's a crazy stat. Pharaoh Brown, Pharaoh Brown through 3 games had a higher target share than Mike Gesicki and Albert Okwuegbunam, and the Texans cut him. He got cut by the Texans, basically playing better than Gesicki and Okwuegbunam. That's rough for Gesicki and Boonham holders.
I mean, like I think alone, if you say Pharaoh Brown has a higher target share than, it's probably a bad sign for whatever player after you. Like even before he got cut, like it doesn't even matter on what team. That is not great to see.
Not good. Not great, Bob.
We had another question here, a Jacobs question that I want to hit because we just talked about Jacobs a little bit too. The Chosen Rose. What's up, Chosen Rose? Welcome in. Glad to see you, my friend. So did I screw up on this trade? I traded Josh Jacobs and Zach Ertz for Travis Kelce. My thoughts, Jacobs is a great player. I want him on my teams, but this is fair value for Travis Kelce, I think. I don't think you wildly overpaid. I think this is fine. Like in a vacuum, maybe give me Jacobs. Depends on team, but I'm cool with this.
Yeah, it has to be a shallow league, or you better have studs because you just gave up a stud. Like I think Jacobs is, to me, I'm probably ranking him top 5-6 running back rest of the season.
But that being said, I don't think it's preposterous to even give that up for Travis Kelce in the league. Know what I mean? It depends on what your team looks like.
Why did you also have to give up Ertz? Like I just feel like I don't know.
Sometimes teams don't want to leave a trade with an empty spot on their roster. Know what I mean? Like if Kelce was their only tight end, sometimes to get it done, you need to fill that hole for them, even if it doesn't mean to get it done. That's what you got to do sometimes.
I don't know, man. I feel like you just gave up too much. If I'm being honest, man.
Well, now that Ertz is off the roster, they can go pick up, I don't know, like an Irv Smith or something to fill that spot.
Well, he doesn't even have to because he has Kelce now. So it's like if you have the 8, like I said, if it's an 8 or 10 team league, there's probably great players on waivers, and maybe it's not so bad a trade if you had a guy on waivers that you really like too. So
Coop, listen to this. They have Eckler, Chubb, and Pierce as their other running backs.
Yeah. Well, in that league, that's got to be some sort of keeper or shallow league, in which case, you definitely got to just make sure you have the best possible roster across the board. So it's not so bad a trade at all.
No, this works, Chosen Rose. Upgrading your starting lineup right there. That's pretty awesome on that one. I saw another. This wasn't a question, but Jay in here saying I traded Ertz for Singletary in a league. I needed running back help and had Travis Kelce. Solid move. Yeah. Killed it, Jay. Jay texted me yesterday. So it's been a rough fantasy year for me, if we're being honest. Like more of my teams are doing poorly this year than I can remember in the last 5-6 years. It's been rough. But Jay messaged me yesterday and said, hey, remember that team you drafted for my dad in Canton? So his dad is in a league with him, and I drafted his dad's team for him. He showed it to me. It's a league where it goes against the median and against an opponent through 5 weeks, 10-0. Yeah, 10-0. The one team I drafted for Jay's dad is 10-0 in an against the median league, and all my teams are sitting there just staring up at him, jealous while we're looking at 2-8, 1-4.
So that was the one team you didn't draft Darnell Mooney on.
I don't think I drafted.
Someone else got Darnell Mooney.
God, I've got so much Darnell Mooney, just so more than I can do with it.
Hey, you know what, dude? Honestly, the more I look at it, the Bears are operating at a completely unsustainable pace in terms of passing. There are going to be some Moondog games. I get him in some sort of lineup tonight, man. I know you're going to be rooting for him regardless of whether you have him in your lineups or not, but I think it could be a little Moondog game tonight.
You know what, Coop?
The Moondog.
I'm putting Mooney in everywhere I've got him. We're going in. Let's play some Mooney tonight. Let's do it. And then
the Moondog's going to be howling tonight. JL, how does a Moondog howl?
Ow.
There he is.
See, in context, that could have. I'm not saying that is Chewbacca's noise, but that could have been.
It sounds
Chewbacca's
a lot
noise.
more like Chewbacca's noise when Keith does the editing of
the
sound and puts them together.
Oh yeah, while I was supposed to be answering questions about shining shoes, I was photoshopping your face onto Chewbacca, and then Keith was photoshopping Chewbacca into a picture with the whole gang. So that's what we've been. That's what we've been doing.
I am sure, Coop, that's what happened. Is he took your picture that you put my face on, cut it out, put it into an image that Chewbacca already existed in, instead of just putting my face on a different picture with Chewbacca. I'm positive the way you said it is right.
No, he is. Pull it up again. That's 100% the one that I just sent him in the chat. Look at the thing.
It did look like it, but I don't think it's the same photo.
It for sure is. It for sure is. Chewbacca's never in the front of those pictures.
You're 100% right now. That
you're right. You're right. Now I'm just a double jackass because I tried to make fun of you and I was even wrong.
And I was like, no, there's no way.
I'm just trying to find little ways to gain some footing in this one, right?
Because I put a lot of effort into my picture
with the rest of it.
Took a lot of work.
Tommy said Chewbacca getting hit in the nads. Yeah, that could be what's going on right there. That's a nut shot to Chewbacca right there. Just a
That's
swift
what the
kick.
picture looks like too.
Not that far off.
That is what that face could be meaning right there. Also, Jay, with an update, I did actually draft Mooney on that team, and his dad still has him on there. That is a 10-0 team with Darnell Mooney.
With the Moondog.
Drafted in probably a little bit too early of a round, if we're being honest.
They should do a 30 for 30 about that team against all odds, like against adversity.
They said it wasn't possible. He drafted Mooney in the 5th round, and look where he is now.
Mooney, like an idiot.
Darnell
Like,
Mooney.
Is he a part of our show now? JL, is he in the intro? That's what that voice usually reminds me of.
I don't know why that voice there reminded me of like a Hey Arnold character. You're like just
Hey
Darnell
Arnold.
Mooney.
Hey Arnold. That
Hey,
show.
football head.
I don't know if you've gone back and watched that as like an adult.
Yeah.
It is sad.
I watch it
Like,
every day.
It is like depressing. Like you watch it and you're like,
What?
it's just like a real like Arnold lives with his grandfather who's clearly losing his mind. Like no, like in a medical sense. Like and it like in like, but his room is unbelievably sick. He's depressed. He's taking care of his grandfather. Like there's a girl who's literally stalking him, like has a shrine dedicated to him in her bedroom. Like she's sad, he's sad, grandpa's sad. Like it's just like
Across
I feel
the
like it's a
board,
look
rough.
into like childhood depression is what that show is. Like it's like here's a show about
Disagree.
this depressed child.
Bro,
Go back and
dude.
watch it. It's
And
rough.
those characters don't even have it the worst, dude. Eugene does. Like
You freaking Eugene. Poor
Eugene's
Eugene.
existence, man.
It's
Gerald.
rough.
Gerald's a friend, right?
Everything's good for Gerald. Gerald's the man.
Gerald's
the
living
man.
his best life, man.
When I was a kid, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but when I was a kid, I was always like the small kid, right? Like the really
Out
little
loud.
guy. I was the really little guy, and I always dreamed of like changing my name. I asked my parents if I could legally change my name to Roger because of Roger from that's Doug, not Hey Arnold.
Doug.
I was thinking of a different show, but Roger from Doug. Because he
Roger's
was
the
like the
bad
tall,
guy.
cool bully guy, and I was like, I want to be
The
tall
cool
and
bully
cool.
guy.
I didn't want to be mean, but I wanted to be like tall and cool with a leather
You're
jacket.
gonna be
You know what I mean?
dude. If you wanted to be tall and cool, you should have been Chalky Studebaker, bro.
Who? Dude, Chael. I'm googling him just to remember which one that was.
Bro, Chalky.
But he didn't have. He was a different kind of cool. Know what I mean? I didn't have the charisma to pull off Chalky Studebaker, but I could pull off Roger whenever I was a kid.
You
Chalky
don't know
Studebaker.
Chalky Studebaker?
Now I know. Now I see it. I haven't watched whatever the show is in a long time. Doug.
Doug,
You would,
I bet.
Jail, you would definitely be his neighbor. That would be like
Skeeter?
very expensive. No, Mr. Dink. What was his name?
Mr. Dink. That's his
Yeah.
name is Mr. Dink.
100%, dude. Bud Dink.
Lamar Bone. Damn.
You know, the guy that
Let me
had
ask
all the
you,
gadgets. The guy that had all the gadgets, and he'd be like very expensive.
Is
You
he
don't remember
married?
that?
And is Mr. Dink married? Does he have a wife? Do we know that?
Yeah.
And do they have children?
No children.
Okay. That name, this happens again. It's in Jimmy Neutron. It's here. Mr. Dink, double income, no kids. They always have the rich neighbor that people are jealous of with the term Dink thrown in their name. Mr. Dink stands for double income, no
dude.
kids. He's got all the gadgets because they got no kids they got to spend money on.
Oh.
Fairly Odd Parents, the Dinkelbergs next door. There's a reason Dinkelberg is always able to buy all of this nice stuff. Double income, no kids. Dink, they're buying everything and
I
they're
didn't
jealous
know that
of
was
them.
I didn't know that was an acronym. Dink.
Yeah,
Dink-
dude.
What a
Dink is
great
an
acronym.
acronym.
to pick.
Right?
Bud
It
and-
is a great acronym.
Bud and Tippy Dink. Her name is Tippy Dink. Are you kidding me? Like,
Tommy
why
said
don't you,
Simon
why don't you
dropping the
delve in?
nugget.
Why don't you delve into that name,
Which one?
Tippy Dink?
Tippy Dink. I'm not gonna dive into the meanings behind that one right there.
Dink,
And
comma
Tommy's-
Tippy.
Dink Tippy. Yeah, that's a good name right there. They
JL's
used to get
thinking-
away, like
JL's
they
thinking real hard
can't
about
get
it.
away with that anymore, right? Like they couldn't have a show with a character named Tippy Dink in it on Nickelodeon today. Like
Tippy
I just
Dink.
don't
Can't
believe
name
it.
anybody Dink Tip today, dude. These kids are too soft. Kids are
Tommy
too
saying
soft for
Simon
that.
dropping the nuggets. No, that was a little bit earlier. Not right now. There's no nugget dropping going on right now. What were we talking? Oh, we were playing Fantasy Feud. That's what we were doing. Coop's got a
Sure.
5-0 lead in this one.
Sure.
And we were about to get on to our next one. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah, jail doesn't get a point for the one he got right.
Nope. It's all or nothing in this. Coop, if he would have stolen
could have stole all
from you,
5.
he would have gotten all 5. Like if you would have not gotten Derrick Henry and Jail would have said Derrick Henry, all of the points would have been his.
Stakes are
So
high.
that's how this game goes. Oh yeah, stakes are messy.
I should
All
know
right,
how
let's
this game
get this
goes
going.
because
Let's
I've
get
played
this
it.
going.
Okay, Jill, you're right.
Here it is. This next one is. One second. I pulled up the wrong one. Sorry, here we go. The next one is the 6 players with the highest target share through week 5.
JL.
Okay, JL. Who do you think it is?
All right, highest target share.
I just
through
realized
week-
that I could have stole that, or I could have said my name. I totally forgot that part.
That's what I
100%.
realized on the last one.
Yeah.
So this is target share, right? Not total targets
Target share. Percentage of their team's target share is what this
in any
is.
position.
Just target share. Like if they, it's just target
All
share
right,
leaders.
I
It
was
is position
just
agnostic.
looking at this, so I think I got this. One of them is Mark Andrews.
It's like 32.
Well, wait, before you say any more though, Joe, you had to name just one, trying to name the top one. If you do not name the top one, Coop has an opportunity to try to name it to make it his turn here.
Oh, right.
So Mark
it's
Andrews,
Sorry.
Mark Andrews is number 3 on this list. Coop, if you can name someone who is number 2 or number 1, you will steal this and get to play.
Wow, Mark, I actually wouldn't have been surprised if Mark Andrews was number 1. He's got like 30-something% target share. But I'm gonna go with Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp is number 2. So Coop, you will get to play this one as well. Cooper Kupp and Mark Andrews already off the board. JL mad.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this one though. I think I'm gonna get meat bonked on this.
Well, we've got 2 and 3 up there. I need the top 6 is what we're looking for. So we're looking for 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. No, 1, 4, 5, and 6.
Man wants 6. Okay, so I think Marquise Brown has to be on there. He has 17 target game.
He is not on there, Coop. Marquise Brown is not in the top 6 for team target share.
Target share, it doesn't matter about volume. They've thrown the most passes. Got meat bonked. Yeah, this is a tough one. Getting meat bonked up. Let's see. Who's getting all the targies on their team?
Don't say it like that. Why would you say that?
Who's getting just peppered in targies? Is CD Lamb on the list?
CD Lamb is number 1 on the list, Coop. That's 1 correct on that one. So far we've got numbers 1, 2, and 3 off the board. 1 strike. You've got 2 strikes left to try to get the last 3.
All right, I'm gonna go with Justin Jefferson.
Who?
Justin Jefferson.
Oh, no, he is not on the list, Coop. He is not in the top 6 for
Really?
Justin Jefferson.
Meat bonked again, dude. Feeling
Meat bonked again.
that crafty devil. All right, so and I have to get 3 more. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get all these. Let's see. Who's getting a lot of targs? Is
2 strikes.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. I want to say that 2 of these guys are on the same team, but I feel like that would be crazy talk. Is
What's it gonna
Curtis
be?
Samuel? Curtis Samuel on the list?
Curtis Samuel is not on the list.
Ah.
Coop, I'm sorry. That
Me.
is 3 strikes.
Triple
JL.
meat bonked.
Jail, if you can name one of the last 3 players, numbers 4, 5, or 6, you will steal the points for this round.
All right, let's go with Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams is number 6 on the list, JL. You have
No.
stolen the points. That's going to be 4 points your way for the 4 that were gotten. A 1-point disadvantage now, 5 to 4.
He stole
other-
them.
Dumb game.
Any other guesses on the other 2?
Yeah, I was gonna guess
The ones you may not expect. They're not like the big name guys. So these are the
Drake
tricky
London
ones
on the
for
list?
sure. Drake London is on the list. Drake London is number 4
That was a
in
surprise
terms
when I
of
was looking
target
at it
share.
earlier.
And the Coop, it's a guy who's led his team in targets the past 3 years.
3 years. Oh, dude, wait a second. We just This was a clue to another trivia we did, and I got that. It's Jacoby Myers.
It's Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is the other guy sitting there.
Even
at
though
number
he
5.
even though he missed the game,
Yeah, we're sitting there at number 5 for Jacoby Myers.
so it only counts the games they played. Yeah, I probably would not got that without that hint.
Guessing so. I apologize for that. I didn't realize that was part of the metric right there, but I probably should
Not a
have.
big
But
deal.
Joe, you are going to steal those points. It's 4-5, and we got one more round of this probably. Here is your we got 2 more rounds right here. The next one is the quarterbacks who have thrown the most interceptions through 5 weeks. So the quarterbacks that have thrown the most interceptions.
Yeah.
There are okay, Jaya.
Let's go with Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford
dude,
is tied for 1. So, JL, you are going to get to play this game, not giving Coop an opportunity to come in here and play. Now, there are 1 second. There are 8 names on this list. Okay. There are 8 names on this list, is what we're going with. These are the quarterbacks that have thrown the most interceptions so far this year.
Good luck with that, dude.
8 names. Okay. So Stafford is 1.
Stafford is 1.
Tied for 1.
So the other one's got to be Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan is also tied for first, JL. That is the top 2 already.
Thanks.
Carson Wentz probably up there.
Carson Wentz is 3rd on this list, JL. I will tell you, numbers 4 through 8 are all tied. So this is all just 4 the rest of the way down.
Okay.
4 picks.
Let's go with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is on that list, JL. That's 4 for 4 so far.
Good job, JL.
And then Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence is not on the list. Bonk. That is 1 bonk for JL.
That's a good guess, though. He was tied for the league lead last year with Stafford.
He was, which was a 17, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's go with is Jameis on this list?
Jameis is on this list, tied with Joe Burrow down there at 4.
So how many do I have now?
You have 3 left. You've gotten 5 of them. There are 3 left available.
Is Lamar on this list?
Lamar is on that list, JL. There are only 2 left. Man, you are running through this.
Interceptions, man. Interceptions are easy. I shouldn't have said that. Shoot. Jinx myself. Let's go.
Wait, also, I want to give a shout out to Tyson Carter. They got Jacoby Myers. They said they took a shot in the dark, got Jacoby Myers on the last one. Nice job, Tyson.
That's impressive.
JL, what is your
Jacoby
next
Myers
guess here?
seems crazy. Target share. Let's go with
It's 2
can you run
left.
through the list I've already mentioned?
Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Jameis Winston are the 6 that you've mentioned so far.
I can't remember if he got up to the same number of interceptions as these guys. Let's go with Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is on this list, JL. That is correct. There was only 1 remaining. You are sitting at 7 points right now. You might just sweep this and not even give Coop a chance to steal. Boing.
Let's go with oh no, this is where it gets tough. Let's go with
You got 1 strike, right? That's where we're sitting at.
1 strike.
That's
Could be Kirk
crazy,
Cousins, could be Mariota, could be Derek Carr. He's throwing some interceptions. Could be Josh Allen. Ooh, Josh Allen.
Bonk. It is not Josh Allen.
All those Isaiah McKenzie interceptions.
Tommy says, Coop, I can see you cheating in your glasses.
Now, what can you see? All right, I'll go with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is correct, JL. You've got all 8 of them with only 2 strikes. That is going to be 8 points added onto your score, making the score right now 12-5 after 3 rounds.
Too impressive,
Nice
dude.
job, JL.
That's
That was
crazy. All 8.
Dude, the interception ones are a little easier, I feel like.
I don't know.
Target share.
I don't know.
You
I would
think
have
so,
guessed
Jay?
Just
Jared
because you
Goff.
remember interceptions, they're so much more memorable than like target share. Unless you're looking at target share, probably
But
not
those
thinking.
stats that are like 3 versus 4, or like 3
Yeah,
versus
they
4
can be
versus
tough,
5,
yeah.
they're so tough for me. Like touchdowns, I always struggle with touchdowns.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you guys. Those are the tougher ones for me because it's just the difference of like a touchdown at this point or an interception.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's not getting much better. Let's do one more round, Coop. We'll give you a chance to make up some work in this game. This one's gonna be a little bit different. This next round we have for you. What I want to know is the 6 teams that have won the most Super Bowls.
Okay. I think I.
Well, someone has to.
Oh, it's me,
Jam.
Coop. I already said he said it was me, right?
No, sorry. I was saying give you a chance to come back. This is still a toss-up. Each round is a toss-up, but he did start talking. I'll let Coop go on this one, but it is it's the last pass. The
That's
first one is always a
baloney.
toss-up.
You
buzz
said
in.
the rules were you have to say your name.
Right.
Now I don't believe anything you say.
I was in the process of saying my name.
No,
you guys-
it's a damn lie. Your name is Coop.
Much. Yeah, well, no.
You don't need to wind up to say Coop. You
Little
just gotta say
little
Coop.
known fact. My first name is That's actually how I started there. So Andrew's my middle name.
This is BS.
My first name's
I'll go on record saying that.
I'm taking
I'm gonna go with-
responsibility for that one. I think the way I pitched it was Coop, give you a chance to come back. Sounded like I was giving it to him, but that was not. the
And that's
case.
BS.
JL technically said it first. So if you want it, JL.
No. Go ahead. I won't take it now because it's out of pity.
Coop,
I
let's see what
only
you
wanted
got.
it when I could fight against the man.
The
Yeah,
6
here, let me
teams
put
that
on-
have won the most Super Bowls.
I'm gonna put on my reflective glasses so that people can tell when I'm cheating or not. In this case, I'm not. I'm gonna go with the Patriots.
The Patriots are on there. They are number 2
Oh, what?
on that
Dude,
list.
I can't believe I just blew that. The
So
number
JL,
one is easy.
Wait, Dale. Yeah, if you can name number 1, you still get to play. Oh, actually, they are tied, right?
Tied.
It is a
yeah,
tie.
yeah, that's what I thought.
So
tied.
yeah, you're good, Coop. You're going to keep on playing. It's a tie for first place.
I'll go quick and say they're tied with the Steelers.
Yep, the Steelers and the Patriots are 1 and 2 on this list. No strikes so far, but you got 2 points racked up.
I'm gonna go with a Bill Walsh and Joe Montana and Steve Young and the 49ers.
49ers are number 3 on this list. That is absolutely correct.
And these are Super Bowls, not championships.
These are Super Bowls. Yeah.
So we not count all those weird ones the Browns had back in the day. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Cowboys are number 4 on the list. You're just going in order, Coop. That is 4 for 4 so far.
It's top how many?
6.
Top 6. The New York Giants.
The New York Giants are number 5 on that list. Yet again, just working your way down one by one. There's one left, number 6. You've got no strikes. You got 3 tries to get it.
Number 6. This is the one where it could be tough for me. But is it the carry the 1? Is it the JL seems like he knows it.
I don't know it.
Oh, I thought he was just sniffing his own armpits. Getting.
I thought you were kind of
That's
looking at me
hilarious.
like I thought you were kind of looking at me like, oh, how has he not gotten this yet? Is it the
What's it going to be?
It's going to be a football team that I'm going to guess with my brain and then with my mouth shortly after.
I'm going to cut you off if you don't make a guess soon. We're
It's
going to get his
Green-
bonk.
Green Bay Packers.
It is the Green Bay Packers. That is absolutely right, Coop. A full sweep, back-to-back sweeps, going to get you 6 points, but it's not quite enough to catch JL after that full 8
I
point.
wouldn't have
Uh,
acknowledged it if it was.
JL
full
is
8
our
bomb.
winner, 12-11. JL, nice job on your victory. Congratulations, my man.
I don't lose every time now. I just lose most of every time.
Is that why you were so gracious to like say, no, Coop, like it's okay. I'll let you have it because you realize it doesn't matter. Even if he gets all 6, you're still going to win this game.
Oh no, I was 0% gracious. I was saying BS, and I will not acknowledge it if he had one. I was 0% gracious with that.
That 8 bomb really put me in a hole. There was no stopping it.
It did. I was shocked you got all 8, JL, for being honest. Like, I thought there were some tricks in there. Like Kirk Cousins, I thought was a little bit tricky in there. But you pulled that one out. Lamar Jackson, like, but you watch all. Maybe you had like you have a slighted. Kirk Cousins is your most hated player, so you're in tune with his interceptions. Lamar Jackson, you're a Ravens fan, so you've seen every game, and those were, I think, the 2 trickiest ones on that.
It was
list.
like, dude, he like Slumdog Millionaire in it, right? Like he just like.
I thought for sure. I was shocked Josh Allen was not in there.
I know.
It just feels like he's thrown so many interceptions.
He must be 3. He's probably thrown 3.
3 or 4, maybe.
I wouldn't have even. The thing is,
game.
If you didn't get it, I would have guessed Jared Goff.
Oh, Jared Goff would have been a good one.
That's what I would have guessed. I wouldn't have stolen anyway, even if you gave me one guess to get it.
True.
Yeah. Have I ever told you guys about the time that I had a Slumdog Millionaire moment with the movie Slumdog Millionaire the day before? Like in my AP Human Geography class in high school, we like the day before the AP exam, she decided to like give us a day off and we watched Slumdog Millionaire in class. The next day on the exam, the one essay question was about slums in India. And so we had watched the movie the day before, and then we had to write about like urban geography and slums in India for our essay the next day. And it was like how weird that it was a Slumdog Millionaire moment with the movie Slumdog Millionaire from the day before. Worked out pretty nicely. Guys, JL is the winner of our game of fantasy feud. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about this Thursday night game, some DFS plays that you might want to make. And then our friend Ethan Cadeau, Commanders writer and digital content producer at NBC Sports Washington, is going to be joining the show to talk a little bit Commanders. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Right now, Ray, it is Cooper Kupp and nothing with this offense.
There goes Kupp. Needs a block, gets it. 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
And Kupp, to his credit, still gets his. But, Ray, it's almost like this offense is so fixated on Cooper Kupp that nothing else. We can all complain about Stafford and the numbers, Ray, but the dude is getting murdered. Like, there's no way he's making it to week 10 at this pace right now.
Am I a Stafford backer? Yes. Did I think his arm was going to be fine? Yes. Has his arm been fine? Absolutely. His arm's totally fine. The elbow issue that we were all concerned about is not a thing. However, everything else is a massive concern. As much as I have to support Stafford, I have him in a couple leagues. I've supported him when people have asked questions. I'm no longer supporting Stafford. I can't. It has nothing to do with Matt Stafford. He's totally fine. The offense is broken, straight broken. And this offensive line somehow was only 31 out of 32 in pass blocking over Pro Football Focus. I have no idea how the Titans are worse. They can't even set a pocket. And he's getting hit on every play. There were about 4 times yesterday where it looked like he got knocked out of the game, but he soldiered through it. This offensive line is horrible. The coaching staff and Sean McVay, you guys, you suck. Straight. I mean, you're the Super Bowl champion. This is what you're putting out there. Like, when you're going well, everyone loves you. And we've joked around, if you used a urinal next to Sean McVay once, you have a coaching job in the NFL. Where's Boy Wonder? There's nothing. This offense is horrible.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
Geno Smith is like a savior right now, which
it's a joke.
We would have been laughed at if we said, even in week 2, if we said it. And right now, he's playing great football. And
Ronan, how much of an idiot am I? I mean, all the shows we were on together, I would repeatedly say, I'm not touching Metcalf, I'm not touching Lockett.
Everyone said that. I mean,
Metcalf especially, because for a while he was going in that like mid-4th round. Lockett, at least, you could get him at a decent value, the 7th, 8th round towards the end of draft season. But I was still like, I don't trust Geno. I'm not going Metcalf. I'm not going Lockett. I said it 1,000 times, and Geno Smith's been turning heads.
I did draft Geno in a super flex best ball league, I think as my 3rd quarterback, but I didn't expect this. I just said, well, he's starting. I thought maybe he might lose the job at some point to Lock, but I'm like, he's starting, so I took him. But this is for leagues with 6 points for a passing touchdown. Josh Allen is averaging 36.1 points per game. Lamar's at 31.8, Mahomes 28.8, Hurts 27. And then there's a drop off to Goff at 23.8, and that includes his crappy game this week. So Geno's at 8th, 23.5. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We just finished up a game of Fantasy Feud. JL with a dominant victory, 12-11, sweeping the top 8 quarterbacks with interceptions this season to pull away from Coop. I see Tyson in the chat asking, how many did the Packers got? How many Super Bowls? That was the answer Coop gave last one. They've got 4 Super Bowls, tied with the team that was right before them. Who was that other team? Can't remember. I think it was the Giants. So the Giants and the Packers each have 4, 49ers and Cowboys each with 5, and then the Steelers and Patriots each with 6. Those are your 6 teams with the most Super Bowls. And Coop, you mentioned, I thought it was interesting you asked the difference between Super Bowls and championships, because you're right. When you look at championships, the Browns do claim quite a few championships, right?
Like you got to count all those
before the franchise moved.
Otto Graham weirdo championships they had before was called the Super Bowl. So important distinction.
Absolutely. JL, do the because that team that won those championships was the team that moved, right, to Baltimore. Is that the same team that moved? Does Baltimore claim those championships, or are those like Browns championships? Because it was a new team. Oh, and I'm sure this is interesting.
Yeah, you're saying. No, I think it is a different team. I think it's considered because the franchise moved then to Indianapolis. So technically, right,
Nope.
Jimmy, you're saying?
Well, that's the thing, is that like it depends the like who you're a fan of, right? Because if you say you said that they shouldn't count for.
I'm saying the Ravens don't take credit for things that the Baltimore Colts did. They're different franchises.
Now,
I think that's how I understand it.
So the Baltimore Colts moved from Indianapolis to the Ravens. So if the Ravens don't take credit for that, good on them. But if you go
other way around,
they do take credit.
No, they moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis.
So Indy does take credit for those. Then.
I think
Indy would take credit. Yeah. So, okay. So that
Indy does.
I think that would be in line with the general understanding. Simon is not.
So the Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis before the Browns moved to Baltimore. The Browns moved to Baltimore in 1996. The Colts moved in 1984. So I think those are 2 different situations that we're talking about, right? Like the Browns championships, because what happened was whenever they moved, the city of Cleveland retained rights to the name the Cleveland Browns, if I remember correctly, and they retained their team and the rights to start a new team under that same franchise. But they did take the team and move it to Baltimore, where it would become the Baltimore Ravens after the Colts had already left about 10 years prior, 12 years prior to go to Indianapolis.
So we were saying the same thing. I think that's the way that it should be. Like it's the same organization, regardless of where they are. So they should take credit. Just like the Lakers take credit for all those like George Mikan championships when they were still in Minneapolis, where they were actually.
Yeah, it's not the location that retains the rights. It's the franchise, the organization, like you said.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. Went down that little rabbit hole right there, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about the DFS slate tonight. If anybody's out there playing maybe that FanDuel Thursday $200,000 to first place over there. How this works for those of you that have not played in this format, it's a single game format. So it's not like your typical lineups where you're plugging in a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex, a tight end. It's just 5 flex spots. One of them is your MVP, going to be times 1.5x. The other 4 can be any position. It can be quarterback. It can be defense. It can be kickers. Literally anything. Just throw it in there, and you're trying to get the most points, obviously. So you want whoever you think is going to be the highest score from tonight's game in that MVP spot. The quarterbacks are always popular plays in that MVP spot because quarterbacks generally score the most points. But this week, Carson Wentz, as Dustin said in the chat, dealing with a bicep injury, not 100%. Justin Fields hasn't been a great quarterback. So maybe this is a week to move away from the quarterbacks in that spot. Or maybe this is a week where everybody's moving away from the quarterbacks and you can get contrarian by plugging in a Justin Fields. Like whenever I look at this and I'm looking at my MVP, Carson Wentz, like, yeah, I get it. He's been chucking the ball around. He's got the volume, right? But if he's dealing with a bicep injury, I'm not plugging him in. But Justin Fields, if they get him running, he's got that rushing ability. He's sitting there priced at 16,000, so 1,000 below Carson Wentz. I don't mind plugging him in that MVP spot. What do you guys think?
Fine with that. Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields could get a decent number of points, just like you said, rushing. And if you want to take a bet on one of the quarterbacks, take the one that's healthy.
Right. Yeah. and like take the ones healthy, take the ones mobile. Because like we've seen him scramble around. We haven't seen him break off the big one this year, but last year we saw him have a couple decent runs. That amazing run he had against the 49ers last year. Like that could happen this week. So yeah, I don't mind Justin Fields there.
100%. If you guys are moving away from the quarterbacks to a different MVP, maybe a little bit further down, trying to differentiate yourselves, is there a player from this game? I know it's gross, right? Like none of these players are slam dunk starts, but someone's got to score the most fantasy points, right? Is there someone else you're plugging into that spot?
I'll tell you one that I've actually submitted a lineup like this, and you can do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup if you do this. Is put, because with these scrappy games, it's not as hard to be the top dog. Like if this was Chiefs versus Bills, you got to pick somebody like Diggs or Kelsey because there's going to be enough action. In this one, all you need is the one guy to randomly score 2 touchdowns, and there's a lot of guys that could do that. As crazy as it sounds, I'm throwing Cole Kmet in one because this guy, like I said, he's 7th in routes run per dropback. His target share is not even bad. He's ramping up. He got 3 targets, then 4 targets. I could see a game where, there's 3 total touchdowns scored and Cole Kmet scores 2 of them and he's the top guy. Like we've seen on some of these showdown slates, like Jerry Jeudy finished as the top player. There's no reason the second target on the Bears can't be the guy if it just goes that way. So, and when you do that, when you put him in as your top guy, like Justin Fields cost on like DraftKings cost 15,000 to make your top guy. Cole Kmet costs 8,000. So you can start Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and Darnell Mooney. You can start and Justin Fields. You can start pretty much anyone you want if you go that way. So
anyone you want.
You can. The world is your oyster. But the downside is Cole Kmet's the captain of your team. But but if he scores 2 touchdowns, you're going to be one of very few people doing that. So you have a real good shot to actually hit it real big.
Yeah, and you mentioned his price on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's similar. Justin Fields at 16,000 if you went that route. But Cole Kmet all the way down there at 7,500, behind both kickers in salary. Like you can bind both kickers and both defenses. You can make Cole Kmet your captain for less in that matchup. That's absurd. I don't mind that one. That's a real deep play for captain.
The thing is, think about it. He played 61 of 62 snaps the week before last. He played 45 of 50. They're not asking him to pass block. All you need is for them to throw a normal number of passes, and his target share and his routes run could translate to 8-9 targets, which is what you're getting from the top guy. So it's not like you're starting a guy who's playing 50% of the snaps, and just hoping he scores some random touchdowns. You're playing a guy that 61 of 62 snaps the game before last is like every snap. So you're starting a dude that has that in the range of outcomes, in my opinion.
Coop, it was a couple weeks ago when you brought it up, like we can look at these target share numbers on the Bears and they look absurd because of the low volume. But like that just like it screams out at me every time I'm thinking about it now. Like they've had games with 11 passes in them, 6 targets, and you would have over a 50% target share in that offense. Like I'm just nervous that we see another low passing game. But you're right. Like something probably has to change with the Chicago Bears offense. Maybe we see them a slight uptick tonight and Cole Kmet gets going. I don't mind that one. Squirrel Bob in here said, I wasn't going to play this, but got a free ticket on FanDuel. So going with Brian Robinson or Curtis Samuel at MVP. JL, how do you feel about Brian Robinson? We've talked a little bit about him tonight. It seems like he's wrestled away that starting job. How do you feel about him at your MVP tonight as being the top scorer from this game?
As the MVP, I feel a little iffy about it. I mean, if you're playing in a big contest, I'm cool with that. Like, play Brian Robinson, that high upside, set yourself apart somehow. This is it's an easier matchup for him from a run defense standpoint. But in terms of like the player most likely to score the more points, I wouldn't put Brian Robinson in that category.
Agreed. And that's what I'm talking about with the snap share, right? Like, because it's split, it's not like it could just be his game entirely because they're going to split it a little bit. Whereas like Kmet's playing every single snap. And the crazy thing with that, like I kind of hinted at earlier, but like, Ryan Griffin has how many targets this year?
64.
Ryan Griffin. Ryan Griffin, I think, has 4 targets.
Sorry, it was 65. Jill, you were off by one. Yeah.
Ryan Griffin has 4 targets. He according to The Edge, that's 33rd team's page over there. He has an 8% target share with that. which is, it's not.
Wait, with
it's not
4
super
targets?
high. Yeah, with 4 targets. So like that's higher. That's higher than Mike Gesicki. That's higher than Albert Akwabunum. That's higher than Mo Ali Cox. Like that's higher than
Mike
a bunch of these
Gesicki, are
guys.
you kidding me?
Ryan Griffin has a higher target share than Mike Gesicki. That's factual because they're throwing so little, dude.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, boo!
makes me get sick, But like,
that's boo.
Even worse. But I mean, like, 8.2%. Like, there's guys that we talk about. Will Disley's at like 9.8%. So it's like
I have a genuine question for you guys. So don't make fun of me. Okay. Were you willing to put one of the defenses into your MVP spot tonight?
The dude that won,
do you have the cojones?
If the game didn't happen last week, then I wouldn't. But I actually saw like a screenshot of a guy that won $1 million, and he had both kickers and both defenses in his line.
That's insane.
Yeah. See, I think because it happened last week, the upside of that play is a little bit lower, right? Like I don't think you're going to.
But it doesn't affect it, right? Like
right,
it's not like this game's going to go differently because they're like, wait a minute, last week
That's not what I'm saying at all, Joe. That's not what I'm saying at all. So the point I'm making is part of the benefit of playing that lineup last week is how different it is from everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. Like if that hits, you're going to be the lone one at the top. If you're playing that lineup this week, because it hit last week, I think people are going to tail it more. You will not differentiate yourself as much with that lineup. So a lot of that upside of playing a less likely to hit lineup, a game script that's a bit more unique is gone, right? Because you're not going to be doing it as alone, as on an island, as you would have been last week, because we just saw it happen.
You weren't talking gambler's fallacy.
No, I was not talking gambler's fallacy. I was talking like the goal of doing that is to differentiate yourself, right? To like set your lineup apart. You're not going to be as different this week because people are going to be trailing what happened.
There's going to be too many people on there being like, it's just going to be the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a lot of Keiths out there with their no touchdown bets, just out there throwing all these defenses into their lineups.
Keith is putting all $700 of his winnings on that.
Makes
on
me
no touchdown again.
Keith, you sick.
That would be funny.
He said he already burned that money lighting cigars.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's had a lot of good-looking people out there. Yeah, that's one way to take it, Keith. That's what we're saying.
You spend half your money on cigars and the other half your money using $100 bills to light them. That's rich people stuff right there.
What about the other side of Squirrel Bob's take here? Curtis Samuel at MVP. So these are two of the higher-priced players. Curtis Samuel, the 5th highest-priced player at $12,000. Brian Robinson was at $11,000 down there. What do you guys think about Curtis Samuel? Coop, you mentioned him as someone you liked his receiving yards prop at 48.5.
If you're going to do Curtis Samuel at MVP, don't do it on FanDuel. Don't do it on Yahoo. Do it on DraftKings.
Price is better. PPR.
FanDuel
full PPR Yahoo, on DraftKings, half PPR on FanDuel and Yahoo.
And DraftKings is full PPR. So if you want to play that game, play it over on DraftKings. And it's, that has nothing to do with sponsors or whatever. I'm not sponsored by any of those guys. I'm pretty sure at Fantasy Alarm we have deals with everybody. But, just mathematically speaking, it's a different game you're playing. So lean into the full PPR if you're going to go with the Curtis Samuel play.
Yeah. JL, now what you said about the Commanders or the defenses, I don't mind playing a defense. Like I'm probably just not shoving them in that MVP spot this week. But like the Washington Commanders defense, I don't think is a bad play against this Bears offense. Like there's not really much fear of this Bears offense in my eyes. And we've seen some plays from this Washington defense, right? They're a decent unit. So I don't mind plugging them in as an option, but the defenses are higher priced this week than I feel like usual, sitting at 9,500 for the Commanders, at least in comparison to some other players. Bears at 9,500 as well.
Let me ask you guys, we'll play. So JL, I like what JL did there with the, seemingly crazy play. Well, we call this cute or too cute. So I think playing a defense, that's a cute play. You're allowed to do it. It's not too cute. Is it too cute to make a lineup with Taylor Heineke in there with Carson Wentz dealing with this bicep strain?
I think that's a Thursday night move. I think that is a prime Thursday night move. Know what I mean? Like you're not that lineup is not one that has a high probability of hitting, right? But that's the differentiating move. Like that's if Carson Wentz goes down early and Taylor Heineke has to step in, then that's a money line.
That's in those giant contests move right there. Like I'm not making that move in a small contest.
Like in a cash game.
And you don't put him as the captain, right? But like there's a possibility. Like what if of the three quarterbacks, like Carson Wentz plays one quarter, and then Justin Fields stinks, and then Taylor Heineke comes in and plays 3 quarters, and he just barely outscores the other QBs. But that's a differentiator for people that didn't set him as the captain, but put him somewhere in the lineup. I think that might be the play. And then you can, if you do that, you can start whoever you want.
Let's see how much he costs though before we make that call. What is what does it cost to play?
$9,000. So if you're gonna do the non-captain
5,000.
Yeah, if you're gonna go non-captain move, it makes a lot of sense. 6,000.
Yeah, and then that really opens up the rest of your lineup as well, right? Like you don't even have to worry too much on that one to get him in that lineup. Tommy said, yes, way too cute. He will only put up maybe 12 points even if he comes in there. So Tommy's saying it's a little bit too cute on that one. Joe, you think that's too cute?
He's not wrong. Like, you got to think about this just from like a replaceability standpoint. Like, even if Taylor Heineke comes in, is he going to score a ton? He's a quarterback, so he'll score probably more than a lot of the other skill position players. But yeah, I don't think it's too cute. You're trying to differentiate yourself here. So
as long as you're cool burning $15, that's something that probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if you're playing DFS, then you're
it's exactly what you're doing.
One other play I wanted to bring up, just because I have to say it. We talked about him a little bit earlier, and shout out to our man Jordan Vanek at the 33rd team, giving me a little bit more confidence in this one. Saying the Commanders run a lot of zone coverage or man-to-man. The Bears are gonna see a lot of man-to-man tonight, and Darnell Mooney is a guy that can beat man. I don't mind plugging the Moondog into your MVP spot right there.
Yeah, give us that howl. Give us that Moondog howl. Yeah, boy. All right. Yeah,
we all howl together. As that's the perfect segue. All of us howling to welcome our guest onto the show coming up. We've got Ethan Cadeau coming on the show. For those of you that do not know Ethan, he's a Commanders writer and digital content producer over at NBC Sports Washington. You can find him on Twitter at Ethan_Cadeau. That is CADEAUX. And we're here to talk a little bit Commanders football at the end of this show. Find out what's going on down there in Washington. Excuse me right there. Ethan about to jump on here with us. You guys, I feel like this has been an interesting team so far this season. What's up, Ethan?
What's up? How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course.
And JL, I see it in your Twitter bio, Ethan. Ethan is a University of Maryland alum, so you got some more Maryland representation over there, right there. JL did not go to Maryland, but he's from Maryland. Ethan, I wanted to start off, just one of my favorite players the past couple years has been Terry McLaurin since he's entered the league. I feel like it's been a little bit disappointing so far this season from like a fantasy perspective at least, but he's still clearly the best wide receiver on that team in my mind. How is the team kind of viewing Terry McLaurin with these other young wide receiver prospects? Like, is he still the clear 1A in this Commanders offense?
Either Ethan is frozen right now, or he's one of the premier mimes in this industry.
Straight up.
No, I think
stone cold stare.
I asked one question about Terry McLaurin. He's like, I'm out of here. I do not want to talk any more Terry McLaurin.
You Medusing him with that Maryland talk. Yeah, we'll have to see if he can get
for real. You guys ever been to Maryland? You guys ever been to College Park?
I've never been to University of Maryland, but I want to go. I love college campuses. Like, I don't know what it is.
Let's go next time you're here.
Okay, I would love to do that. I love taking a college campus tour. Like, when I was in high school, I toured over 50 colleges. Like, it was unnecessary, but I just loved seeing the campuses, getting hats or a t-shirt every place you went to one, right? Like, it's fun to see where people spend their college experience.
I like it too.
Does Maryland have a cool, is it like a campus or is it like a city campus?
No, it's a campus. It is surrounded by just like shops and just tons of stuff that's not like super nice necessarily. Like, it's not the same vibe as Clemson. It's definitely like more city-ish vibe, but it's not in a city.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. But the campus itself, beautiful architecture, beautiful school.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to try again bringing Ethan up here. Maybe we can talk a little bit of University of Maryland with him. How far is it from you, JL?
From here, it's about 45 minutes. From Baltimore, but where I grew up, it's not as far as like 30 minutes.
Also, Howland here said, I went to community college in Flint, Michigan. Want to see my campus? Absolutely. I want to see all campuses.
Flint,
I love
Ethan.
All right. Hopefully, it doesn't kick me out after 2 seconds now.
Yes.
I figured you were just mad at me for starting off asking about Terry McLaurin. You were like, I'm out of here. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
No, not at all.
I was impressed by your stoic demeanor while you were frozen.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this guy's going to be a tough one to crack. You know?
Better get to work.
Just completely mean mugging us to start it off. How are you, Ethan? You doing all right this Thursday morning?
Yeah, I'm doing as well as can be. Not thrilled about tonight's contest, but
I don't think anyone is.
yeah, it should be. Can't be worse than last Thursday, right?
Right.
Don't say
Don't
that.
say that, Ethan.
Don't
Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare put that into the world,
loud.
Ethan.
We'll clip that if it is narrator.
Yeah, 100%.
Narrator, it was.
And then it's just gonna play some like sad music and then cut to highlights from this game. Like it'll just be all the ways that this went wrong. It'll be a punt montage after we play. It can't get any worse than last week. And it's just punt.
Yeah. But we'll have like a dope song in the background though, like push it to the limit, and it's just all
Tressway's punting highlight tape is going to be all from this game.
Electric, dude.
Just all
coffin corners and like Tressway doing like shoulder bumps with people, dude. I've gotta, if that does happen, I think I'll enjoy it a little more than I would have otherwise. Now that we've had this talk.
Gotta watch out for the shoulders though with Carson.
Yeah, no shoulder bumping for him, right?
Yeah, watch that bicep.
How is Carson Wentz health wise? Like you cover the Commanders for NBC Sports Washington. It sounds like he's a little bit banged up, not at 100%, but what's the concern level for him right now?
Yeah, he didn't sound concerned when we talked to him on Tuesday, and Scott Turner and Ron Rivera both didn't sound concerned. So either they had a meeting to say we're all going to downplay this, or they're actually not very concerned. I'm not too worried if he can make it through this game without any major more injury. He'll have 10 days before the next one. And it's kind of funny though, because if he were to get hurt, half the fan base would be thrilled because they want him benched, and half the fan base wants him to play because they still think they can turn it around at 1-4. And candidly, he was better last week than he has been the rest of the season. So it's kind of up in the air right now.
How do you feel?
I think
you want Carson Wentz to stay?
Half the fan base forgets what Taylor Heineke is like.
Yeah, exactly. I think Carson is better. I mean, I don't think anyone's denying that. He's better than Heineke, better than any other option they got. I will say this: if the season continues to spiral and they get close to that 70% snap threshold and they're like 2-7 or 2-8, it's going to be organizational malpractice if they let him go out, eclipse that 70% snap share, and then that third round pick turned into a second round pick for Indy. So that is the worst case scenario. If they finish with a top 5 pick and they have to give up their second rounder to Indy because he plays like 80% of the snaps on the year.
That would be brutal. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in that case, you might just have to bench him for your own preservation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking like that would truly be catastrophic for that team right there if he's sitting down there. Like that makes it seem like a very real possibility that we see Carson Wentz benched at least at some point this year. I hadn't considered that. That adds a wrinkle to it over here. We got Scott Fish in the chat saying at least both quarterbacks we get tonight are better than the Broncos' current starter. So that should help. Carson Wentz. The absolute shade towards Russell Wilson from Scott Fish this morning. And he said, I've been railing on Wilson for 2 off seasons. I earn the right to make these jokes. This started week 10 of 2020, and I latched on that off season. Man, that's brutal. But Russell Wilson has looked like whenever we talk about how these quarterbacks have looked so far this season, you can't really say Russell Wilson's looked better than these two guys. Like maybe ever so slightly, but they're in that same conversation right there. Ethan, while I thought you were just straight up mean mugging me after I asked you, what I did ask about is Terry McLaurin so far has been relatively disappointing. We've seen some other younger receivers kind of step up, have some big games, or newer receivers to the team. Curtis Samuel heavily involved, John Dotson, some multi-touchdown games, Diami Brown with the multi-touchdown game last week. How is Terry McLaurin like being viewed by this franchise? Is he still like the clear, he's the 1A, he's the dude, he's the alpha, or are we getting these younger receivers kind of coming up and taking some of that thunder from him?
He's definitely still the 1A in the franchise's view. I don't think there's any question with that. I think the slow start, you could say, with Terry versus other receivers truly does have to do with the fact that he wasn't there all of April, all of May, and all of June. And he had training camp and all that time to work with Wentz and so forth. But Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, those guys have been there since day one. And in OTAs and minicamp, Dotson was Wentz's clear favorite target. The coaching staff loves Curtis Samuel for whatever reason. I mean, they coached him in Carolina. But yeah, they absolutely love him. He's leading the team in targets right now. He does a lot of that underneath work, does a lot of slot work as well. I think Terry's time is going to come. If it makes you feel better, I just traded for him in one of my leagues. So I am optimistic. The De'Ami Brown stuff was kind of more of a one-off, 2 catches, 105 yards. I don't think he's replicating that. I think if anyone picked him up in waivers or spent fab on him, they're kind of making a mistake. I don't think he's really going to have a role in the offense once Jahan comes back. So I'll say right now, yeah, Terry's struggling a little bit fantasy-wise. I don't think he's had a top 20 week this whole season, but I do think it's coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if it starts tonight.
Looking at the numbers, it backs up what you said. Like even with no Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown played 20 snaps out of 63. That's like a third of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Really can't trust that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't tell anyone to pick him up.
No, you're just chasing those touchdowns probably if you're out there doing that. That's a touchdown chaser.
I'm a tight end analyst. That's like I do it every week. I put out the rankings and stuff. So I got to ask you, with Logan Thomas out, if you were going to throw somebody, say you're going to do like a DFS showdown lineup, would you go John Bates? You go Cole Turner. How are you feeling about those guys?
So Cole Turner's definitely the better pass catcher, and I think if you're looking for that DFS play, he's the one that's more likely to score. It's hard to say because I don't think he caught a pass yesterday or last week, so I don't think he has a catch on the year. But in training camp, before he pulled his hamstring and missed like 3 weeks, he was arguably Wentz's favorite target. So they have a little bit of chemistry there. He looked good. I don't know why it took so long for him to return to the field, but he played a decent amount of snaps last week. I think he played like 30 or something snaps. I don't think that's I think in the red zone, he's a big target. He caught 19 touchdowns combined his last 2 years in college. So I would go him over John Bates. I don't think you're scoring from John Bates, and he might have like 2 catches. Like you're not going to win any DFS leagues with that.
Bates played more snaps, but they both ran 23 routes. So that's a nice nugget right there. Anybody that was thinking about John Bates pivot to Cole Turner, I think he's actually cheaper too. So that's a nice one. I like that.
You mentioned trading for Terry McLaurin. Is it tough trading with your league mates? That assuming that they know what you do for a living, especially for Washington players.
It's impossible sometimes in our league. Everyone, no one really likes. We have a lot of trades, but it's so hard to make trades in general. We have a term. Everyone says your anchors are down because no one wants to move any of their players. But yeah, Washington players so I traded. It was a 1-for-1. I traded Devonta Smith for Terry, and that doesn't look great right now after that 10-catch game from Smith. But the person's immediate response to me was, "What do you know that I don't?" And it's like everyone assumes I have like a ton of inside information just because I'm there, but I don't. I play fantasy just like everyone else. I see some things, but me wanting to trade for Terry is more. I truly am confident things will turn around. Then I know that I'm not sitting in the meetings with Scott Turner where he's like, we're going to 15 play script 3 of these passes.
Insider info.
He's like, Ethan, come here.
Yeah, I gotta tell you something.
Now lie to us and tell us that you do have insider info specifically about him getting 8 targets tonight so I can plug him in confidently.
Well, I'm playing him confidently, so hopefully that gives you a little boost.
Absolutely. We did have a comment in here earlier from, I believe it was Tommy who said it, calling their shot, saying that Riverboat Ron Rivera was going to be the next head coach to get fired. Are there any rumblings about that you're hearing? What do you think about that take? Because it seems a little hot to me, right? How hot is his seat?
Yeah, I don't think it's nearly as hot as that comment says. I would be very, very surprised if they moved on from him in season, and I would still be pretty surprised if they moved on from him after the year, unless they truly do finish 3-14. I think they've given him too much reign to start, where if you were to let him go after 3 years, they have this coach-centric approach. He's taken so many bullets for this franchise that he doesn't need to take, but he's been kind of the face of it for all the off-the-field stuff. He's the one that's had to address it. I think they're going to at least give him another crack at it next year. And if it's a year and a half from now, and we're talking the same position, I think his seat is going to be as hot as it gets. But right now, I think they're going to preach patience with him. I know it's year 3. I know that other teams in the division have a lot more success with all coaches they've hired as recently as Rivera or more recent, but I don't think they're ready to move on from him just yet.
I tend to agree with you. Those are the vibes that I get from that organization, that they're working with him to turn something around here. And this does, I mean, not that this Washington team looks fantastic, but I think they look better than a 3-14 team. Like whenever I see them out there, it seems like there's way more than 3 winnable games on that schedule, right? And we've seen this offense can produce numbers. It hasn't done it every week, but we've seen some decent high-scoring games from this Commanders offense so far, which I didn't expect with Carson Wentz under center. Maybe that was disrespect towards Carson Wentz, but they're putting it together. They're putting together some nice offensive games. Now tonight, they're not expecting an offensive showdown against the Bears. 37.5-point over under in this one. They're 1-point favorites on the road. Coop earlier said he likes the Commanders as 1-point favorites on the road in this one. Are you with them? You think this is a winnable game for the Commanders? They're going to take home the W in Chicago?
Yeah, I think they're going to be the more desperate team, which is why I like them. We've heard John Allen say it's a must-win game. The mood in the locker room, while it's still pretty positive and light, like they know they got to take care of business this week. I think Chicago, like you said, Washington's better than 1-4. I don't think Chicago's as good as their 2-3 record, honestly. One of their wins came in that like hurricane monsoon in week 1. I think if they can stop the run, which they've been pretty successful at thus far this year, I think they should be able to take care of the Bears.
You would hope so, right? This
Yeah,
Bears offense, like it's not going to be. They're not going to have to score 40 points to beat the Bears, probably. Like I just can't imagine that being the case. You can potentially beat the Bears scoring 14 points out there if you put together a decent defensive performance. They're not too scary on the offensive side of the ball.
Big, it's got some folks in the chat wondering. We've been talking about a bit on this show. People want to know this running back situation. Before it was pretty easy. Antonio Gibson on run plays, J.D. McKissic pass plays. Now with Brian Robinson back, there's a wrench in there. How do you see it shaking out moving forward? I know Brian Robinson got more carries last week, quite a bit more, and he looked better. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Robinson that handles most of the traditional carries under center, shotgun. I wouldn't be surprised if he has anywhere from like 10 to 14 carries on a weekly basis. I think Gibson's role as a runner is pretty much going to be diminished. I would be surprised if he gets more than like 4 or 5 carries a game. They really want to use him in space as a receiver. In week 1, we saw a glimpse of it, even with Robinson not out there. He had like 5 catches for 71 yards. I think that's the way they want to use him. And they're also talking about using Gibson on special teams as a returner. Whenever you hear that, doesn't really bode well for their use and confidence in the offense. So I think Robinson's the guy you want in fantasy of the 3. I do think McKissic sometimes has the highest ceiling on a weekly basis just because of his pass catching ability. If I were to play one in DFS, it would probably be McKissic just because he catches the ball. And if he scores, then that's a solid point week, especially with this wasteland at running back right now. But in terms of like long form for the year, like owning any of these Washington running backs is not a recipe for success. I don't think any of them you can ever start confidently.
Man, I used to be so much happier having Antonio Gibson on all my dynasty teams. Like I was so bought in. The comments like, oh, he looks like Christian McCaffrey. Like he can be the Christian McCaffrey for our offense. So what I mean, he's got the receiving skills and then like he got the volume, but it just never seemed like they wanted him to be that guy, right? Like he was one of like only a couple running backs last year with over 300 touches in the NFL. Like to go from that to like losing your job from a rookie who comes back after being injured, they must really see something in Brian Robinson or really not want Gibson to be the starting guy. 300 touches last year.
And Hal,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say Hal in the chat, Work and Grind is asked Brian Robinson a 0 in the passing game. And I mean, both those other guys, Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic, played wide receiver in college. So I just, Now, my opinion is probably that I don't see why you would throw it at Brian Robinson unless just to keep the defense honest when you got those other guys, right?
Yeah, I think it's very weird of how they've switched on Gibson all of a sudden, and it all happened after he fumbled in the first preseason game against Carolina. Because last year, I think he fumbled 4 or 5 times. He led all non-quarterbacks with fumbles lost, and that was a big talking point entering the year. Brian Robinson was looking really good in training camp, but nothing where you'd be like, okay, he's got to be the lead back, take over for Gibson. As soon as that fumble happened, everything changed. And it's also like kind of funny. If you go back to March, everyone's talking about, oh, Gibson's going to have this 3-down roll for those 48 hours when McKissick signed with the Bills before switching back to Washington. Everyone was so pumped. Like, yeah, McKissick was really good, but Gibson's finally going to be able to take that next step. Here we are 7 months later, and this guy, like, we don't even know what his role in the offense is, which makes no sense. Yeah, he's so talented, but it's just they haven't found the perfect role they want for him, and they don't trust him to handle every down duties.
That's crazy that a preseason fumble could affect it that much.
And I was just like, I don't know. You mentioned he was the running or the non-quarterback with the most fumbles lost last season, but like I mentioned already, like he also was one of only a handful of running backs to reach that 300 touch threshold, right? Like so that number is probably a little bit elevated compared to like fumbles per touch, right? Like he's probably closer to average. Not that he doesn't have a fumbling problem, but like you're giving this dude the ball 300 times in a season and then holding the top in the league at fumbles lost ahead of him. Like you give Melvin Gordon 300 touches in a year, I guarantee you he out fumbles Antonio Gibson. Right?
And it speaks to how different these coaches are. Cause like we've seen coaches just never bench guys for fumbling, like Pete Carroll with Chris Carson. Like Chris Carson could drop Pete Carroll's keys down a drain and he wouldn't bench him. There was one stretch where he fumbled like 6 times over the course of 3 games. And Pete was just like, yeah, you're the star.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So not every coach is the same. No, my favorite team is the Patriots. Belichick will ship you off to Siberia, dude.
You know, if you're late for practice.
Exactly. Jonas Gray scores 4 touchdowns next game. Cut.
Yep.
See, doesn't even matter. I see Hallen here saying 45 fumbles for Melvin Gordon and 300 carries. Yeah, that sounds a little conservative though. It would be at least 45. And I love Melvin Gordon, but it's been rough watching that so far this year. I saw some questions in the chat that I wanted to hit. Maybe you can help us out with some of these, Ethan. Adam wanted to know, should I start Danny Dimes over Trevor Lawrence this week? Would you start Danny Dimes over T-Law this week?
That's tough.
Cool. So you got Danny Dimes has the Ravens at home. Trevor Lawrence is looking at the going on the road to play the Colts, though they did give the Colts a pretty good whooping.
They handled the Colts.
So how are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, I think I got to go with what we saw in week 2. I know Trevor Lawrence had a terrible game last week against Houston, but he played really well in week 2 against the Colts. The Jags seem to have the Colts number even before this year, so I'm gonna go with T-Law.
I'm gonna go with T-Law too.
I'm there, yeah, for sure. I really don't like Daniel Jones, so
I'm also gonna go with T-Law in this one. Ethan, sorry, go ahead, Jail. What were you gonna say?
Daniel Jones having the Ravens. The secondary looked decent last week. They picked it up from the first part of the season. Yeah, the first part of the season it was rough, but they looked decent against the Bengals.
They were like worst in the league before that game, weren't they? Like literal last in the league pass defense is what they had going on over there. Ethan, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here with us today. Before we let you go, though, I want to get your score prediction for tonight's game. How much are the Commanders beating these Bears by? What's the final score?
17-14. It's going to be ugly.
Oh, but that is a treat compared to what we got last Thursday night.
You're taking the under on the 37.5?
Yeah, I know, but still.
It's so low that you have to take it because everyone thinks, oh, the over's easily going to hit. Nah, it's the under's going to hit.
Fade the public.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Ethan. Ethan, thank you so much. Everybody, go follow Ethan on Twitter at Ethan_Cadeau. That is CADEAUX. And a reminder, he is a writer and digital content creator over at NBC Sports Washington, covering the Commanders. Ethan, have a great rest of your day, and good luck tonight. Go Commanders.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Good stuff. We're getting you back on, too. Dude, so, I think
I'm gonna go invite Ethan to some Cafe Rio tacos soon.
Did we just get permission to do the double Cole tight end DFS stack up in here?
I think we did.
Yo, the two Coles.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah, bro, dude.
Bro,
Double
bro.
Cole, dude. I smoked 2 Coles in time of peace, 2 in time of war. So
You guys want to hit some of these questions we got in the chat here?
Yeah.
One thing before we do that, I want to remind everyone there's another giveaway going on today at 11 a.m. Eastern time. You have your chance to win a Joe Theismann signed 1983 NFL MVP inscription lunar speed full-size helmet. Listen to all those adjectives describing that helmet. This is courtesy of gettingthegame.com and Bettor Sports Network. All you need to do is download the Bettor Sports Network app, register for free, and be listening today at 11 a.m. Eastern time or 8 a.m. Pacific for those of you just waking up on the West Coast. No purchase necessary. You got to be 18 years old, and if you've won within the last 90 days, you can't win this one again. But Joe Theismann signed 1983 NFL MVP full-size helmet being given away at 11 a.m. today.
Wow. So they're giving away full-size helmets. On the show, we give away advice to start 2 tight ends named Cole. In your DFS
Yeah.
lineup.
So which would you rather have?
I'm just saying, dude. That's why you got to stay tuned all day to make sure you get all of it.
There we go. Yeah, let's hit some of these questions in the chat. Joe, what are you showing off for us there? What you got?
This is not a full-size helmet. I tried to put it on, but it's a Justin Tucker signed helmet.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
That
didn't get whipped out the other day when we were talking about our favorite collectibles.
I talked about it.
Did you?
He did.
I
just didn't pick it up off the shelf.
I love his response when they asked him about like the game-winning field goal, of which he's never like missed a game-winning field goal. They were like asking about that, and he's like, yeah, that's great and all, but like, how about that game-winning hold by the punter? His first game-winning hold out here. Like, what a moment. I'm just like, dude. No one cares about
he's so
holds.
nice.
He's like,
Yeah,
just a
so
perfect hold.
nice.
And then he goes, dude, he goes he basically said, like, with a hold like that, it's already in. He's like, it's automatic. Like, I just have to go through the motions. And I'm like, it was like a 45-yard field goal. You know what I mean?
Kind of crazy to watch his motion though. Like, cause we were at the game when we were watching it. I've seen Justin Tucker kick many times and he just has the same sort of routine. I'm sure they all sort of do this. It's all muscle memory, right? But it's wild to see.
He's a beast, man.
Let's hit some of these questions, Joe. You got them pulled up for us?
Sure. Javen asking, who do I start? So what's up, guys? Who do I start at flex? AJ Dillon, Amari Cooper, or Devonta Smith? So I think we can all agree AJ Dillon's out of that mix. Yep. So Amari Cooper or Devonta Smith?
Amari Cooper is so boom or bust. And Amari Cooper also is facing the #1 graded cornerback on PFF. So I think I'll go Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith has been good. Coming off a 10-catch game. Narrative's there. That's the way I'm going.
I'm going Devonta Smith as well. It's exactly for the reason you stated. I like Cooper, but I don't want to play him in that matchup. They're close enough that I'll lean Smith.
Yep, I agree. Smith, but just by a hair.
The Patriots are so good at taking away what you. Yeah, Patriots are perfect. The Patriots are taking away what you want to do, and when you only have have one wide receiver that's so much better than the others on your team, that's a recipe for disaster going against Bill Belichick.
And then Adam asking, I need a flex in full PPR. DJ Moore, Romeo Dobbs, Damian Pierce, Corey Davis, Mike Boone, Michael Carter, or Alexander Madison. Which guy are you flexing?
Pierce out of that crew. Yeah, Pierce getting all the carries, literally all of them.
Eric here asking, might be a silly question. Grabbed Bills DST last week. In turn, now I'm dreading having to drop them to continue streaming, i.e. Ravens. Don't want to hold 2 DST, obviously. What do normal people do? Unless you have the #1 defense, I'm not holding, but you do. So Bills defense are like top 3 defense on the year. I'm fine rostering for 2 weeks or a week or 2.
No, so I mean, just grab if you're gonna grab a second defense, like think of it this way: the Bills have a bye week. Bills have a bye week next week, so you might as well grab a defense now and play them this week and play them again next week.
There you go. Perfect. Guys, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in this morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we're going to run it back again tomorrow after this Thursday night football game. So make sure to join us then. Stick around here on the Bettor Sports Network app right now. You've got Keith and Moose coming up next, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. Then Corey and Nando and friends to answer all of your difficult fantasy questions. Until tomorrow, though, we are out of here. We will see you guys later. Adios, everyone.